Good evening, everybody. It is Thursday, February 5th, 6:05 PM. I'd like to call to order the regular legislative session. Please silence all cell phone and electronic devices, and would everybody please rise and stand for a moment of silence and pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Will you please take the roll, Jean?
Ramos.
Here.
Riskevich.
Here.
Amo. Carter. Cheney.
Here.
Ellers. Essig. Fagione. Fescaldi. Hill. Hunter.
Here.
Redeker.
Here.
Ravella.
Here.
Sassy. Scott.
Here.
Stiganga. Sutherland. Tobin.
Here.
Tui.
Here.
Turnbull. Tortel.
Here.
21 present.
This time, I'd like to recognize Democratic Leader Genesis Ramos.
The legislature would like to recognize the following for the month of February: Black History Month, American Heart Month, Groundhog Day, Valentine's Day, President's Day, Ramadan, and National Engineers Week.
Thank you, Legislator Ramos. Leader Ramos. At this time, before we commence with public comment, I want to remind everyone that all comments are to be addressed to the chair of the legislature, not individual members. Due to the number of speakers that we have, the 3-minute speaking rule will be strictly enforced. This legislature is aware that there are a number of comments that we can anticipate relative to the resolution opposing the location of an ICE facility within Orange County. For the edification of the individuals here and watching, please take note that pursuant to the Orange County Charter, this legislature generally does not have the authority to enter into contracts on behalf of the county. That authority rests squarely within the executive branch of the government. Any contracts between the county and another entity are executed by the county executive pursuant to our charter. That being said, we have 48 speakers signed up for public comment prior to our agenda. First up is Supervisor of the Town of Cornwall, Wojciechowski, excuse me, on the Chester Warehouse Ice. Please remember to press the button on the microphone.
Okay, hi. So first let me thank the legislature for having more night meetings, which has allowed hundreds of people to join us here tonight. All right. And to address this body, so I'm here tonight to talk about two issues. First, the West Shore passenger rail study. I believe that'll be coming out later via consent. First, I want to thank the Orange County Legislature for taking up this resolution in support of the West Shore passenger rail study. For decades, communities west of Hudson have been stuck in a transportation desert. Our roads are at capacity, the Newburgh Beacon Ferry is gone, and residents are feeling the strain of long commutes, limited options, and rising costs. That's why this resolution matters. A feasibility study for the West Shore passenger rail is not about making promises, it's about doing the responsible thing and looking at the future of our region. Next, I'd like to talk about the Chester ICE facility. I first want to thank Chairwoman Tortel for and the legislature for standing up for our communities and to bring a resolution forward. This is not an easy issue, but leadership matters in moments like this. We are here because the proposed ICE detention facility in Chester represents a failure by the federal government. There's been no meaningful outreach from DHS or ICE to state, county, or local governments, despite the fact that the facility would directly impact the town and village of Chester. Local officials and residents still don't even know basic facts. This is not partnership, this is imposition by the federal government. The site is an industrial park meant to be an economic engine, not a detention complex. And we cannot ignore the fact that there are public safety implications. This facility would be located within a short distance of youth sports and training facilities. In fact, I take my son there every Sunday for baseball training. There has been no coordination with local law enforcement, no planning for protest activity, no clarity on how detainees will be transported or secured. We don't need chaos in our communities. We don't need to introduce new risks of confrontation, disruption, or violence by masked officers being perpetrated against residents of Orange County. I still believe and I hope that this legislature can adopt this resolution in a bipartisan way, because this isn't about party, it's about protecting our towns, our villages, and our families. And we can all agree on this. Orange County deserves thoughtful planning, real coordination, and respect for local communities, not federal decisions dropped on us without notice or consent. We will not accept chaos, secrecy, or risk to our residents.
I also apologize in advance if I mispronounce anyone's name. It is not intentional. Next up, we have Wander Ronk Bond. Wanda? Okay, we weren't sure if that was a D or.
Oh, no, I was writing fast. I'm sorry. I would just like to say that I was born and raised in Orange County. I now live in Sullivan County, but it's in my heart. The fact that they can consider bringing an atrocity like this detention center, if that's what they want to call it, it's more like a concentration camp. They want to place these warehouses for people across this entire country. Now, if their end game is deportation, why do we need tens of thousands of these holding facilities? They're going to be for us. It's going to be for dissidents, for protesters, for anybody political. It's going to be for us. That's their end game. I worked in Chester for 37 years. I know the community. I know the people. I know the store owners. This is just not what the Hudson Valley needs. And I'm sorry I get emotional about this, but this is really dear to my heart, and we cannot allow this. And that's it.
Thank you. Next up, we have Stephanie Powell.
Good evening, Legislature. My name is Stephanie Powell. I'm a lifelong resident of Woodbury, a teacher for 19 years, and the proud granddaughter of immigrants. I am here to express my support for the proposal to oppose the ICE processing facility. I spent nearly 2 decades teaching English as a new language, working to ensure families feel safe, welcome, and supported. Every day, I witness the resilience of our students and their families. I see my students arrive at school with determination, curiosity, and ready to learn and grow, ready to contribute in unique ways and solve complex problems. Yet over the last year, we have watched the unnecessary cruelty embedded in current immigration policies reach a fever pitch. Families who came here seeking safety, opportunity, and a better life, often for the next generation, now must confront growing racism, xenophobia, and cruelty by masked men. These families who work long hours, pay taxes, start businesses, and contribute in countless ways to our schools, neighborhoods, and our local economy. But fear, oh no. Okay. But fear, separation, and intimidation have been used at new levels to push these communities into hiding and fear. This is not just wrong, it is harmful to the very fabric of our community. Policies should lift people up, not tear them down. Opening an ICE processing facility here would not protect our community. It would weaken the bonds that hold us together. Our strength comes from standing together, from lifting one another up, from celebrating the contributions each family, student, and neighbor brings to our community. The truth is this: when we protect immigrant communities, we protect the heart and strength of Orange County itself. Each of you took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States. To protect the rights of all the people you represent. That oath requires courage. It requires standing with the families and students who make our community what it is, even when it is hard, even when it is uncomfortable, even when others would look away. Tonight, I ask you to stand with our students, our families, and our neighbors. Vote yes to oppose any ICE processing facility in Orange County now or in the future. Ensure this county truly upholds the values of liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Up next, we have Elias Cunningham. Up next, we have Elias Cunningham.
Good evening, legislators and neighbors. My name is Elias Cunningham, and I'm a senior at Washingtonville High School, a town right over from Chester. Now, before I begin my comments on tonight's agenda, I want to briefly highlight that we are here at one of the many night meetings to come because of the change within this chamber to give working families a voice and an opportunity to be heard. Now, when you drive on 17 into Chester, you'll see a digital billboard that says, "Welcome to the heart of Orange County." That's speaking about the town. Legislators, I want you to ask yourself a question. Do you want the heart of Orange County to be known for masked, rogue federal agents spreading fear throughout our neighborhoods? Do you want the heart of Orange County to foster a rise of authoritarianism, hate, and division? Do we want the heart of Orange County to be the foundation in which ICE spreads across our Hudson Valley and strikes fear into our communities? And I want to emphasize the question, do you want Orange County to be the hub of fear? While we watch generations of hard-fought human rights progress being erased, I urge this legislature to pass this resolution. Across this country, we have seen Americans being detained unjustly, torn from their families, and even shot dead by our own government without any prosecution or reparations. We know ICE facilities have seen deaths in custody and wrongful treatment, and it is clear now more than ever our First Amendment rights and our community's safety is at stake. Along with passing this resolution, I urge you, the legislators, and the people within this room to also demand that County Executive Newhouse have the guts to oppose this facility, not just for his rhetoric of a lack of infrastructure capabilities, but he oppose it because it has been morally indefensible. And I urge you, legislators, to stand up and have the courage that he lead with transparency about the ICE contracts that allow them within our own county jail as they currently make their routes across our communities. But legislators, finally, I want to pose the question to you. What side of history do you want to be remembered on? I hope you'll support this resolution, or I can promise you I'll have a field day within your district coming 2028.
Thank you. Up next, we have William Seaton. William Seaton.
My name's William Seaton. I'm from Goshen, a few blocks away, and I'm here tonight with many of my neighbors in order because the ICE has, under President Trump, become a criminal and an un-American organization. His billionaire friend, Carl Icahn, doesn't think he has enough money, so he wants to squeeze a little bit of blood money out of people's suffering. And we need to say, not here, not in Orange County, not ever.
Susan Shapiro.
Thank you very much for considering this resolution. I'm Susan Shapiro.
Susan, can you bring the microphone down? Thank you.
I'm Susan Shapiro. I'm a land use attorney and a farmer located here in Goshen, and also a granddaughter of immigrants, as many of us are here. Chester does not have the sewer capacity or water capacity or infrastructure for this detention center. As the county executive actually wrote in his objections about this. And we ask that you stand with that, because as a land use attorney, this is not tenable. You cannot put people in a building that is not designed for people to be in. It's a warehouse. It's totally improper. Also, we have to remember Orange County has a strong agricultural base. We're an agricultural community. We rely on workers being able to come and go safely from work. If we have an ICE facility in the center of Orange County, we will not have workers to work on our farms. It's really a danger to our community. And beyond that, ICE agents are a direct threat to every single person in Orange County, every single resident in Orange County, whether you're a citizen, whether you're an immigrant, whatever. They are killing people in this country. They're killing American citizens. They are untrained, they're dangerous, they're armed, they're violating the Constitution repeatedly without due process, and they are violating civil and human rights right and left. This is a 250-year anniversary of this America, of the United States Constitution, of us being a nation of laws and civil liberties. And so here in Goshen, we ask that you unanimously pass this resolution and stop ICE from stepping into Orange County. Thank you.
Roberta Clements. Roberta Clements.
Good evening. So I just want to say regarding the ICE facility that this is not the America we want. This is not New York, and this is definitely not what the Hudson Valley stands for. No matter your affiliation, human decency doesn't follow partisan lines. It is universal. We have to admit that this agency has gone rogue. They are committing random acts of violence, acting outside the bounds of their authority and outside the bounds of the law. We will never fix criminal behavior by becoming criminals ourselves. We all know the lesson of World War II and Nazi Germany and think how could people turn their heads? Well, now we know how. We must not turn away and pretend this is some legitimate mission. We must face it head on and see that this is not who we are. We must insist on the rule of law so we can sleep at night without fear that we are next. Will someone be breaking our door down next? The process of immigration is heavy and slow, yes, but that is because we know they are people and deserve equal treatment under the law. There's no oversight of this rogue agency, and the harm that is being put upon innocent people is unconscionable. We should not allow this anywhere in America and not in our own backyard. This is the type of behavior that we as Americans have condemned for hundreds of years. We should not give in to these lowest of instincts. There is a better way, and the way is no torture warehouse.
Thank you. Hope McClellan. Hope McClellan.
I'm going to speak fast because there's more to say than less to say. I reside in Middletown. I have dined, shopped, and enjoyed event venues in Chester. In junior high, my English class read Anne Frank. The teacher asked us, what would you do if you lived in that time period? Well, today is this time period. Silence is not an option. History is watching. Auschwitz started as a detention center. By now, we have all seen, including our children, have seen the terror, chaos, and cruelty that's been happening around our country. I was going to speak at this hearing about the events of the ICE hearing and what happened to our US citizens at the hands of ICE. I changed it to talk about some of the lies from DHS and some of the vetting for ICE agents. The DHS Instagram page today says that Kristi Noem has an 87% approval rating. Our own government is telling us not to believe our own eyes. Believe them. Okay? They're using abusive tactics called DARVO. D, deny unjustified forces. A, attack credibility of witnesses. R, reverse the roles between the victims and the offenders. This is coercive control at an institutional betrayal level. In 2025, 32 people died in ICE detention. Since January of this year, 8 people have died so far. In Minneapolis, a detainee was brought into the hospital with 8 skull fractures and extensive bleeding by ICE. ICE said the man, quote, ran into a wall. His injuries were so severe on both sides of the head, it couldn't be possible, and the hospital rejected these claims. DHLs are continuing to tell us lies, but they're being investigated and the evidence is coming out. So let's go back to the beginning. The beginning was a raid in Chicago when they rappelled from helicopters into an apartment building, if you remember. They broke down doors and windows and they dragged US citizens and immigrants out into the street. They zip tied, these are, don't fear, these are cut, I can't zip tie you, but they zip tied US citizens and US children on the street in pajamas by unmasked men in the night with guns drawn. When did that become acceptable to zip tie children? Okay? We have heard asylum seekers, people with temporary legal status and are all detained. Naturalization processes have been canceled. So this is not about criminals. People that have been leaving scheduled hearings about citizenship are doing what we ask them to do, but they are being locked up, including my son's friend who is married to an American. Pastors are threatened by gunpoint. Pastors are shot in the head by pepper balls. Okay? I want to tell you that the following places
Ma'am,
have either
thank you.
stopped-
Ma'am, your 3 minutes have ended. I apologize, but thank you.
Okay, I want you to do 2 things.
Thank you.
There are several places across the country that have stopped this. In red and blue cities, they
Ma'am,
have stopped this.
Ma'am, we have to move on to the next speaker. If you'd like to submit written comments to our clerk, please do. We will review them if you have further things to say. I apologize. We have a lot of people to speak tonight. Thank you. Up next, we have Andrew Dalton.
Andrew Dalton is my name. My wife and I actually live in Ulster County, but she has a private practice office in Montgomery, so that puts her in this county. And I have a letter from her to read because she couldn't come here herself. As someone who has a professional office in Orange County where I serve Orange County and other county residents, I'm writing to urge you to vote no on the proposed ICE detention center in Chester and to end the contract between ICE and Orange County Jail. And as general policy, to stop cooperating with ICE. Vice President Vance has stated that ICE has total immunity from laws, which in itself is grossly illegal. and ICE operates illegally without warrants, badges, reading of rights and other due processes, and commits violent acts of extreme bodily harm, including murder, and abducts people of all ages, little kids to elderly, into unmarked vans, often taking them thousands of miles away from their homes, sometimes even to foreign countries, to for-profit prisons. No one should be treated in these ways ever. And occasionally, ICE tear gases and chemically sprays civilian protesters in violation of national and international laws and of what ought to be common humanity. If you do not immediately understand why all the above is egregiously wrong, immoral, unethical, illegal, unconstitutional, and un-American, then there is no further explaining it to you. Quite probably you are cognitively and moral impaired, and you should step down from any office that requires responsibility to others. I do not want my clients, myself, or anyone subject to the dangers of lawless ICE in Orange County nor anywhere else. ICE are the dangerous, violent illegals who should be locked up. Please use the responsibility and legitimate power of your offices to keep Orange County civilized and safe. And by doing all you possibly can to get currently criminal and lawless ICE out of Orange County.
Thank you, sir. Sherry Cason?
And just a word from me, myself. I've lived in several countries in my couple of centuries of
Thank you,
life.
sir.
And I have never been anywhere close to living in a fascist country like I am now.
Sir. Wait, Sherry Cason? Or Casso? No, that's a W. Sherry? No? Oh, there you are? Okay. Couldn't tell if you put a W or an N there at the end.
Good evening, legislators, chairwoman. My name is Sherry Cassow from Greenville. Thank you. This is a letter I wrote to each and every one of you. I got one response, very appreciative of that. To the entire Orange County legislators, it's come to our Orange County collective awareness, a Chester, New York warehouse has become a prospective site of an ICE detention center. I would like you all to know that I reject this proposal and reject any location within the boundaries of Orange County. ICE has become a violent entity, a private militia with the current administration with paramilitary equipment and ability. ICE and CBP have not been held accountable for the violence that they reign, their oath of office they break, and the Constitution and Bill of Rights they ignore. Their presence makes communities less safe, as we all have witnessed. People have been executed on the streets, citizens arrested, fellow law enforcement, veterans, and children have been detained. ICE has violated places of worship, the schools, hospitals, and homes. Detainees have been abused, they've been starved, refused medical attention, and have died in detention. This has all been accomplished with our hard-earned tax money. We're paying for this. We are all self-paying for the destruction of our freedom of speech, our right of peaceful protest, search and seizure, rights shredded, and many of us have been secretly put into their all-inclusive databases. I am lobbying you to represent our best interests, to legislate that ICE and CPB are not good neighbors and don't fit the welfare criteria of our community. or our county needs. Please legislate against them. I believe in the rule of law, not lawless rule. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeannie Marin. Jeannie Marin.
Thank you. It's actually Jean. So I wanted to point out that while the federal government has the right to override all of our local codes, they don't have the right to override our humanity. I think that everybody should take a look at their own codes or at the Chester Village codes as well as their own, and understand that the reason you've developed all those codes is so that we can have healthy, productive lives here in Orange County, and we need to continue that. This warehouse is not for storing people, especially vulnerable people like our immigrants. The codes are made for us to be able to thrive, basically. I don't know how we're going to thrive when this warehouse blows out the Chester sewage, which it will. And then as someone with a doctorate in clinical psychology and a postdoc in neuropsychology, I want to bring up the issue of trauma that's being created even by the idea of this. People are keeping their kids out of school. They're not going to work. They're going without food because they're afraid that they're going to be taken. And that needs to stop, and we don't need to increase that here in Orange County. You know, some of the children that might be sitting next to your child at school or your grandchild at school suddenly is traumatized themselves when that desk stays empty. So keep that in mind. It affects everybody here. The tactics are clearly inappropriate that they're using, and it behooves you to do everything you can to stop this. Keeping ICE out of our county would be great. However, you know, we have the 287G agreement with the jail. So I would love to see that gone as well. I know we make money on it. I know we make money on it, but it should not be at the cost of our humanity, and it should not be so that some people that didn't get enough GI Joe time or dog shooting time can, you know, do a little more. I'm sorry, we're all adults here, I hope, and we need to start acting like that and respect our fellow human beings. So please do whatever you can. We'll help you. And if it does come in, we're going to be there. Every one of us will be Renee Good or Alex Preddy. And I'm a peaceful patriot. I don't want to be shot in the face or the back. And I don't want any of the good people here or in any of our county for that to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Before we move on to our next speaker, I know that the seats are all taken in here. We do, for those who need to sit down, we do have our statutory committee room, which is right out the back door here on the left. There is seating in there. The video screen is up, live streaming what's happening in here for you. So that is available to you if you do need to sit down or if you would like to sit down. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that that was there for them. Mary Beth Tyrell.
Did I push something?
Nope, it's already pushed. They're leaving it live for
My
you.
name is Mary Beth Terrell. I'm from Campbell Hall. And first thing I want to do is congratulate the new people who are here, the new legislators. And to thank all of you, because I know that sometimes positions like this can be very thankless. Okay, so we do appreciate what you do. I have a whole speech that I'm not going to read because the people who spoke before me did a much better job than I will. But I just have one question. Who here has kids? Okay. Are you going to want your kids to move back into this county if this happens? No. Thank you.
Thank you. Grace Ott. Grace Ott.
Hello, my name is Grace Ott, and I'm a resident of the town of New Windsor. And I'm here tonight to demand that the legislature pass this resolution to oppose the proposed ICE facility in Chester. Now, there are a lot of really good infrastructure reasons that we can't handle this kind of facility, but I just want to be very clear that this is not why I'm opposed to this. I'm opposed to this because I, like many here, believe in the humanity of our immigrant neighbors and the vibrancy that they contribute to our communities. ICE is not welcome here. But to that end, I also wanted to point out that ICE is already here in the Orange County Jail right here in Goshen, where for years, detainees have been subjected to inadequate treatment. I'm holding in my hand a 43-page report from the New York Lawyers for the Public Interest detailing the inadequate care and medical neglect that has been faced by immigrants housed in the Orange County Jail. Now, I recognize that the legislature does not have decision-making power, as the chairwoman pointed out, over the contract. But I hope that each and every one of you would use your influence with the county executive and the sheriff's office to end this contract as soon as humanly possible. Because we believe that no matter where you're from, immigrants are welcome here. I know that Steve Newhouse is not a protest guy, but I should hope that he and all of you would want him to be a morality guy. And every single day, having any kind of affiliation with ICE becomes more and more immoral. Immigrants are welcome here in Orange County. ICE is not.
Thank you. Aria Valdez. Aria Valdez. And then up next, we have Jason Nichwachman, and I apologize for that.
My name is Aria Valdez. I'm a lifelong resident of Orange County. I am from the city of Newburgh. Right now, women and men are being dragged from their homes, rammed by ICE vehicles, shot in their cars, and hogtied. Many of them legal residents and US citizens. And even if they are undocumented, let's be clear, they have human rights too. They are protected by the United States Constitution. Infants, children, and pets are being abandoned in cars, left in the streets, inside homes after their caregivers are taken. I learned of a dog trapped in a car in Minnesota for an entire month after I want to say parents, but you know what I mean, were disappeared. Teenagers are being tackled in their own neighborhoods while they're walking to school and suffering injuries, being mutilated by ICE agents, so severe they end up in intensive care units. Hospitals, grocery stores, schools, churches being raided by ICE agents. Legal documents are ignored and being stolen. Do you know how hard it is to get those documents back? You know how many years that people have to be in this country and how many thousands of dollars they have to pay to get that? People are transported as if they are disposable. Adults are beaten so severely, suffering skull fractures, and then left by agents outside in freezing conditions without clothing intentionally or medical care. This is a death sentence. This is a death sentence. Our neighbors are being murdered for the public to see and behind closed doors. And guess what? This is American history. This is not new. This has long been the lived reality of Native American communities, and this includes Mexican and Black Americans. Now that the horrors of white supremacy are visible undeniably and unmistakably, What are you willing to tolerate? I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're a Republican. You all have a duty. You swore an oath. If we do not stand united in solidarity now, then who? If not now, when? I urge you to pass this resolution, but that's the bare minimum. I urge you to call Stephen Newhouse and demand that he reject this concentration camp. Because if he does not, we will show up in numbers and he will be sorry because this telephone will be off the loop, you know. Who knows? But like, I hope to God that he will come to his senses and reject this concentration camp because we will not accept it.
Thank you. Jason, and then after Jason, we have Amanda Crump.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jason, and I am a resident of Middletown. Where is Stephen Newhouse? Where is he? Does anyone know? Where is he? Shouldn't he be here tonight? First off, I just want to acknowledge the resolution being introduced tonight opposing this detention facility or concentration camp. It correctly states that these facilities are known for inadequate medical care, inhuman conditions, and strain on local infrastructure, and that warehouses like the Pep Boys site are not zoned or equipped for detention use. This legislature must exhaust every option to stop this facility and use your own personal platforms to pressure the county executive to end the existing ICE contract at our Orange County Jail. This contract is tied to documented neglect and abuse. In October 2024, New York Lawyers for the Public Interest released Denied Care, Denied Dignity, documenting serious medical neglect and systemic failures inside our own county facility. Other counties like Rockland and Westchester have taken concrete steps to limit ICE's reach. Orange County can do the same. And so tonight, my question is simple. Once this resolution passes, which it will, what actions will follow? Will you use your platforms and your authority to continue to speak out? Because passing a resolution is just the floor, not the ceiling. And your words are meaningless unless paired with action to stop this facility and the ongoing jail contract. Thank you. You can oppose this facility, and I know County Executive Newhouse has voiced opposition and even filed a legal challenge, yet the county still holds a contract with ICE at the jail, where ICE detainees make a significant share of the population. You know what that's called? Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. If you truly oppose ICE detention, pressure the county executive to end that contract and use every tool at your disposal to stop this damn facility. Thank you.
Thank you. Amanda Crump, and then Rebecca Drayton O'Brien. So Amanda Crump first, then Rebecca Drayton O'Brien.
Hi, good evening. My name is Amanda Crump. I'm from the city of Middletown. I've been a resident of Orange County my whole life. I'm here to speak in support of the resolution to oppose ICE using the warehouse in Chester. I want to read really quick the definition for concentration camp, just for reference. Concentration camp is a detention facility where political prisoners or targeted groups are held without due process for reasons like national security, forced labor, or punishment, often characterized by harsh conditions and brutality. I know we use that word very often, so I just wanted to quickly reference why we're using that word. A concentration camp is a detention center without due process. Innocent until proven guilty. ICE is completely unconstitutional and I'm asking you to stand against them and support our Constitution as you have taken an oath to do so. Every human being has a right to due process, and no one should be kidnapped based on their race or ethnicity. That is common sense. Billionaires like Carl Icahn are profiting off of these detention facilities, and we as the American people have to put a stop to this. People are showing up like they have today, and we won't stop fighting for human rights and pressuring our politicians, local, state, and federal. There was a study released by New York lawyers for public interest called Denied Dignity, Denied Care, that talks about how immigrants are being mistreated at our own Orange County jail. If they're already being mistreated there, we can only imagine what will happen if they use this warehouse. Please stand on the right side of history. America continues to repeat its own atrocities. They did this to the Native Americans and African Americans, but it ends now. If our government officials fail to stop a concentration camp from being built, we as residents and citizens will put a stop to this by any means necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Rebecca Drayton O'Brien, followed by James Ruiz.
Hi, thank you all. My name is Rebecca. I am a 19-year resident of New Windsor, a single mother, a social worker that works in Middletown, an active member of Working Families Party, and the Newburgh Immigrant Solidarity Table. 2/3 of polled Americans say they believe that ICE has gone too far. Do you agree? I don't. I'm strongly opposed to ICE operating in Orange County and creating a human being Amazon warehouse. People are not packages. And also, according to please pass Resolution 19 to create a transportation task force. Orange County just needs to improve public transit infrastructure so people can get to their jobs and schools to better their lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason Ruiz, followed by Cindy Lee Dorsey.
My name is James Ruiz, and I've been an Orange County resident for 25 years, and I've grown to appreciate the diverse small businesses that sit in the heart of Middletown. So to say that I am appalled hearing a potential detention center being opened in my county would be an understatement. I oppose the ICE detention center and processing centers within the Hudson Valley. I do not want my friends, brothers, sisters, parents, or any of my neighbors to be held in the inhumane conditions without access to nutrition or medicine. We call for Orange County to take any and all necessary steps to resist the sitting of detention center here. These concentration camps have no right being able to deliberately dehumanize, brutalize human beings. In 2026 alone, 6 people have died in the custody of ICE, including Geraldo Lunes Campos, a father of 3 kidnapped in Rochester, whose death in Texas detention center has been ruled a homicide. We expect elected officials to utilize every possible tool to stop another detention center in Orange County, and we are watching. If the federal government ignores the overwhelming opposition to this project and breaks the law to establish this concentration camp, the county should immediately sue to shut it down. The county executive, with the support of the Orange County legislator, must end the contract between ICE and the Orange County Jail, Locking up humans because of the color of their skin or the language they speak in is no way to balance a county budget. And we do not want it done in our names. The history of the conditions at the ICE detention center, the history of the conditions in the Orange County Jail is of neglect and abuse. Just last fall, as other people have mentioned, New York lawyers for the public interest have issued a report titled Denied Care and Denied Dignity, Systemic Relief Failures in Immigration Detention at Orange County Jail, where they highlighted the conditions as inhumane treatment among these human beings. Inhumane treatment these human beings are receiving in our Orange County Jail are a stain on all of us. And as others have said, this is the bare minimum. We have to stop cooperating. All of our elected officials must, as such, all elected officials must support the measures that keep ICE out of our schools,
Thank you.
support the passage of New York Dignity for All, New York for All, Dignity No Detention,
Thank
and
you,
MELT
sir.
Act by the
Sir.
state legislature.
Sir, thank you. Cindy Lee Dorsley, followed by Veronica Mott. So Cindy Lee, followed by Veronica Mott.
Hi, my name is Cindy Lee Dorsley, president of the NAACP Middletown branch. I stand before you tonight on behalf of the NAACP to state clearly and unequivocally that we oppose the establishment of an ICE detention center and any expansion or cooperation with ICE in Orange County. The proposed facility is a former Pep Boys warehouse, a structure designed to store inventory, not to house human beings. When people are placed in warehouse-style detention centers, they are being treated without dignity. They are being reduced to cargo, stored like property rather than protected. That reality alone should give every one of us pause. Across this country, investigations had repeatedly documented inhumane conditions inside ICE detention centers. Individuals denied adequate medical care, detainees suffering untreated illnesses, incidences of violence and sexual abuse, and people being treated and with spoiled food and insufficient food. Families struggle simply to locate loved ones, and attorneys face barriers to access to due process for their clients, one of the fundamental promises of this nation. And it is too often delayed and denied. As an immigrant myself and a citizen of this country, I want to share something personal. I have been walking around with my passport on me every single day, not out of travel plans, but out of fear that I may one day have to prove on the spot that I belong in this country that I have called home for 36 years. No one should have to walk around with this kind of fear. No resident, no citizen should feel this level of fear simply because of how they look, their accent, or where they were born. And we are already seeing increased reports coming into our offices of schools with racism, bias in the schools throughout the communities and that are increasing. Children are saying that some belong and others do not. Families are living with anxiety. Neighbors grow suspicious of other neighbors. This is not the foundation or a safe place for united community, Black communities know all too well what happens when prejudice is turned into policy. When enforcement expands without meaningful oversight and entire groups of people are treated as suspects first and human beings second.
Thank you. Yeah, Veronica Mott, followed by Elizabeth Blanchova.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I appreciate that you're working towards a resolution against the warehouse. Unfortunately, I want to go back to last summer.
Apparently in June 2025, a flock safety LLPR was installed and detected outside the entrance to the industrial park near 29 Elizabeth Drive. It is there to serve for surveillance. I talked to the manager at the Lowe's in Chester. They have a surveillance camera there that is tracking all the information of every single customer that goes in there. I asked him what he did with it. He said, well, security. So that's already there. I've been asked by my neighbors throughout Chester, why are there so many cameras there? What is going on? So I'd like to at some point have that answered. I also was working last year very hard with a group to understand the fact that we were a sanctuary county. As of August 2025, we are no longer a sanctuary county. I didn't see that publicized anywhere. I'd like to know why. So I have spoken before at the village meeting. I'll just go over a few things. There are over 30 businesses in the industrial park. Obviously, they're not going to be able to sustain the traffic disruption and the media attention, not to mention who wants to live next to a concentration camp. The current traffic configuration at the Chester Exchange certainly cannot handle an additional burden. The economy of the village of Chester will be negatively impacted by loss of businesses and that refuse to operate with the concentration camp in the vicinity. $500,000 worth of tax income will have to be made up by the citizens of the village and town of Chester. Where is that going to come? School district. So I would love to have more kids in our school district. The children that are going to be affected by this are going to have to be taken care of in the Chester School District. How is that being resolved? Furthermore, there'll be attrition to the county for allowing this to happen on our watch, because it's our watch, and the population will shift. Orange County will become a ghost county. You have an obligation to pass this resolution and say no to ICE. And also reverse the status as a sanctuary county in New York State.
Thank you.
Again, everyone should be reading this 43-page report directly talking about our Orange County jail.
Thank you. So Elizabeth Alanchova, followed by Lillian O'Brien. Elizabeth, followed by Lillian O'Brien. It's on. Oh, nope. There you go.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Elizabeth, and I am a resident of Newburgh. Before I get started, I want to be very clear. We do not need to comply with ICE. We do not need to cooperate with ICE, and we do not need to compromise with ICE. We need to abolish ICE. I think it's important we revisit history to see how we got here. This country was built on the enslavement of Black people, on systems that treat human beings as disposable labor, and relying on brutal policing to dehumanize people. This country is an expert on this subject. Even Adolf Hitler was inspired by our racial laws and segregation policies, and we know what he did. We have seen this before on our own soil. During World War II, the US government forcibly removed and incarcerated over 120,000 Japanese Americans and placed them in concentration camps. Families were torn apart, lives were permanently damaged, and later the government admitted it was wrong, but only after the damage was done. So I'm sorry to say we are not living in unprecedented times. We are following the blueprint laid down by our history, but we can break the cycle. Today, that cycle shows up as a proposed immigration detention center in Chester, New York. And so we call on you to take on every possible step to resist this, regardless of the power you hold. This resolution is just the start. Will you push our county executive to ensure he's doing everything he can to stop this concentration camp? We always look back on history and ask, how did we let this happen? We like to imagine that we would do things differently and that we would rewrite history. So when your grandchildren ask you what you did to stop this current fascist administration, what will you tell them? Let this be your chance to rewrite history. Thank you.
Thank you. Lillian O'Brien, followed by Jim Goldsmith.
Lillian O'Brien, Town of Wallkill, Middletown, New York. First, I want to ask each of you, and I'm always going to start out this way. I want you to think about where I'm from. Put that in your head. And I want you to answer that question in your head. And all the other people in here that may look like me. How dare someone decide where someone is born because of their skin color or because of how they speak? All my life, and Chester's heard this before, all my life I've been told, go back to your country. Well, my grandfather and my father and my great-grandmother, everyone on my father's side are Native American. My mother's side is Puerto Rican, and I have people telling me, go back to your country. Where the hell do you want me to go? Okay? And that's happening right now to Native Americans all over, happening to Puerto Ricans all over. Okay, so don't tell me this is about criminals. You're saying that because of the color of my skin, I'm a criminal. I've done nothing in my life but be a good citizen in this country. I was born in Brooklyn. How much more American can you be? Many of you think that this is never going to touch you, but how many do you have in your family or ancestors that said, never again, just like that young woman just said, never again? This is the never again moment. Because someday it will be your ancestors. Someday it will be your kids. Someday it could be just you because you wear glasses or you just smirk the wrong way at someone. And those detention centers can morph any day into true concentration camps because the first concentration camps weren't detention centers. They were spas for the elite. The elite people who were the Jewish people who stood by and worked with the German population who were taking them down. And unfortunately, they had to see it the hard way. They went to a spa that morphed into their concentration camp, and that's how concentration camps began. And people don't hear that part of it. So any one of you can be in any detention center that morphs into concentration camp any day. I'm also going to say, everybody in our towns need to watch for what's happening in your zones, in your zoning boards, and your planning boards. Because right now, I live in the town of Wallkill, and I'm finding that it may be innocent, but there's a 165,000 square foot warehouse that's being proposed, and we have a moratorium on warehousing in the town of Wallkill. So watch for it, people.
Thank you. Jim Goldsmith, followed by Dan O'Brien. So Jim Goldsmith, followed by Dan O'Brien.
My name's Jim Goldsmith. I've lived in Orange County for over 30 years, in Chester since 2011. I chose to live in Chester for large part because of the sense of community. We trust each other. We have each other's backs. We treat each other with respect, and that includes immigrants. This proposed facility is near residential neighborhoods, our places of worship, our schools, our local businesses. And I, for one, do not want to live in fear of masked, armed, poorly trained agents operating outside the law, accountable to no one. This facility does not belong in Chester. This facility does not belong in Orange County. This facility doesn't belong in the United States of America.
Thank you. Dan O'Brien, followed by Sophie Wagner. Excuse me, Sonia Wagner.
Good evening. I moved to Orange County and settled in Middletown in 1985
Just a little closer.
and made it my home. And watched how Hudson Valley developed over these years through the hard work of the individuals, the communities, and the legislature like yourselves. And we will be judged by decisions you make regarding this ICE facility. It's a horrendous idea, putting moral and constitutional issues aside, which are horrendous. Just imagine a few things. Within a mile radius, you have Legoland and Chester theme park for kids. Gee, Mom and Dad, after we go to Legoland, why don't we go over and see the ICE facility? How about this? Stewart Air Force. New York Media Center is a short little van ride up the road, and we could film grandmothers, children, and parents being loaded onto airplanes to be sent out of the country. Nice look for Orange County, huh? I don't think it's going to do the businesses any good. So I really want each of you to weigh these things. There is no equivocating. This is not usual politics. You're going to be one side or the other, and each one of you will be judged by your vote. Now, regarding ordinances, I know it's like a gray zone, apparently, what the federal government can tell a town to do or not, but I just Googled it up. Yes, several cities and counties have passed ordinances or policies aimed at restricting or prohibiting the establishment of private for-profit ISIS detention centers. Now, midterms are not that far away. Do we have to keep things going to block this thing forever? Maybe not. You get a Congress that stands up and does something, so make some roadblocks. I don't want to hear like we didn't get a proposal. I can't do anything. I don't know what you're talking about, which I've heard at some meetings that I've gone to lately. Put something in paper, make it a law, whether it holds up, we'll go to the Supreme Court, whatever you want to do the tactics they do on us. Get legislation going and stall it. I don't want to hear like, I'm against it, sounds like a bad idea. Get it in writing, vote with each of your names on it. And we'll find out which side of the aisle, not even the aisle, which side of America you're going to stand, and you will be judged by your family, your friends, and your neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Sonia Wagner, followed by Mary Makowski.
Good evening. My name is Sonia Wagner. I live in Greenwood Lake in the town of Warwick, and I've come here to speak about this proposed expanded footprint of ICE in Orange County. I was born in the United States in 1965, and until this year, I have never felt the need to carry proof of my citizenship. But as I resemble my Cuban great-grandmother, I have begun to wonder if one day a masked stranger with a gun working for my country might command me to prove who I am, possibly in my own home. This thought used to be unthinkable, but we have all seen the enormous escalation in the practices of ICE. One can easily find videos online of a home in St. Paul, Minnesota, recently surrounded by ICE agents with rifles at the front door. Now, we later learned that ICE did not have a judicial warrant to enter that home, and yet they used a ramrod to force entry, terrifying the parents and their 9-year-old daughter. A federal judge later ruled that this was not constitutional, but I wonder how this little girl will sleep at night. I wonder too about the nearly 4,000 children taken into custody by ICE since January 2025. And this brings me here to Orange County, where we have already one of several ICE facilities in New York State. I ask all of us, and you especially, to consider, given what we know has become standard practice for ICE, unlawful breaking into homes, pushing and tear gassing demonstrators, the killing of American citizens in the streets, shootings that were publicly condemned by our own county executive, how can we consider providing a welcoming harbor to another ICE facility in Orange County? This is a humanitarian concern and a constitutional one. History has taught us what happens when good people look the other way. Now, the neighbors of the family in St. Paul give me hope. They gathered peacefully around the home for hours as ICE agents surrounded the house and broke into it. They beat drums. They took video footage. They bore witness. They remind me of what it means to be American and how fortunate we are to still legally have the right to demonstrate and voice our views. I urge this body to do everything in your power to prevent the expansion of ICE's footprint in our backyard. To do anything less is to implicitly endorse practices that are constitutionally, unequivocally un-American. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Makowski, followed by Reverend Sarah Henkel. And Mary, we did receive your written comments that the clerk will file.
Thank you. Thank you for having this discussion. We have seen the chaos and suffering in Chicago, Portland, Minneapolis, as ICE behaves recklessly in communities. Although the promise was to deport serious criminals, in fact, ICE has been indiscriminate in seizing, detaining, and deporting people. Entering this country without documentation is not a crime. Not a crime. It is a civil offense comparable to littering or speeding. Is there anyone in this room or anyone who knows anyone who's ever dropped litter somewhere or received a speeding ticket? Do you think you're a criminal? 70% of undocumented immigrants have no criminal histories at all. Some have lived here for decades, working, starting businesses, having families. Enforcing this cruel policy has not made our communities safer, but more dangerous. It has interfered with businesses and local economies. It has made people fearful and distrustful of government, which should protect us, not threaten, injure, and kill us. Would we tolerate our local and state police behaving as ICE does? I hope not. ICE is racially profiling people, mistaking American citizens or those here legally for undocumented immigrants, and attacking basic American rights to protest and to document ICE activity. Do we want an ICE facility here? Do we want these out of control agents in our communities? It is time to stand up now to prevent an ICE facility here, so we will not have to stand up against it if it is built. Just in terms of infrastructure, it's clear that the sewage system and water system in this area is inadequate for a building with so many people. I also point out that the owner of this facility, one who would profit from its use by ICE, is a donor to President Trump. Frankly, I call that corruption. The other ICE facilities have dangerous and inhumane conditions. Do we want people not only being seized and held without due process, but treated
Thank you.
inhumanely in Chester? Stand up and say no, not on our watch. I urge you to
Thank you.
pass this resolution and stand up for the rights of immigrants and
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Up next, we have Reverend Sarah Henkel. And following Reverend Henkel, we are going to take a pause for a 5-minute recess and reconvene with public comment following that. Thank you.
My name is Reverend Sarah Hinkle. I'm a Presbyterian pastor and Orange County resident. A decade ago, I was part of a small group of volunteers who offered visits, friendship, and compassionate listening to people being detained by ICE at the Orange County Jail. Throughout my pregnancy with my first child, I visited a woman detained by ICE there. While I grew more and more excited to welcome new life, she was locked in prison, unable to be present with her US citizen child for months on end, as she was awaiting immigration court hearings that were endlessly delayed and pushed off. All of this for overstaying a visa as she tried to pull together her case to be naturalized through a US citizen family member. We shared many tears. I'm about to shed some now. And she shared with me her incredible courage in the face of horrific isolation in ICE detention. And I reflected back to her the firm and undeniable claim of my Christian faith, and a claim that I think all of our faiths share, that she and all people are created in the image of God and are deserving of care, not the abuse that she faced. Abuse that affected her and her child, trauma that continues to linger to this day. I didn't write this down, but it also occurs to me that if we were to open this facility in Chester, that it would draw in people who were looking for jobs, maybe some of our sons and daughters, our children, looking for employment. People pulled into be ICE agents are also made in the image of God, and to act as an ICE agent in the way that we are seeing comes with a grave spiritual cost. Grave. We don't want that. We don't want that for the people employed by ICE, our neighbors, and we certainly do not want the costs that people in detention are facing. I urge you to vote yes in opposition to the Chester ICE facility and any expansion of immigrant detention in this county. And I also echo the voices of so many who asked you to use whatever power you do have to influence and call into question the contract with the Orange County Jail that ICE has now. May our refusal inspire other counties to do likewise. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Henkel. As I stated, at this time, we are going to pause for a 5-minute recess and reconvene in 5 minutes. I ask everybody to please resume their seats? Okay, thank you. Our next speaker is Javier Rivera, followed by Ronnie Honduras. So Javier, please. Thank you. Just press it. There you go. Thank you.
Good. I'm Javier Rivera. I've lived in the Hudson Valley for all 35 years of my life. And it blows my mind that I have to come somewhere to speak about not building an ICE facility or occupying one in my own county. One of the things that I think about is maybe our feelings don't count or something like that. But so I wanted to talk about some facts instead. 2% of all violent crime is committed by undocumented citizens, whereas 90% of all documented crime is done by US-born citizens. Undocumented citizens do not commit the crime that we're talking about. It's just a smear campaign. And in fact, undocumented citizens are shown to cooperate with police 30% more than US-born citizens do. So they actively reduce the amount of crime that is done in our country. I did have one thing written down. I just wanted to really quick, I wanted to name the 9 people that were killed by ICE in January. Keith Porter, Renee Nicole Good, Alex Preddy, Heber Sanchez Dominguez, Parity La, Victor Manuel Diaz, Luis Beltran Yanez Cruz, Luis Gustavo Nunez Saceres, Geraldo Lunas Campos. These 9 people were all killed by ICE. 3 were gunned down. So when you ask yourself, should you do something to oppose what they're trying to do in Chester? I want to ask you, would you be okay with 9 of us being disappeared and having our lives stolen by ICE? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Ronnie Banderas, followed by Daniel Melville.
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing today? As you see, many speakers before me are upset and they're opposed to this ICE facility being built in Chester. I'm here as a bridge from my community. I am a resident of the city of Middletown. And I can tell you ICE is already in our communities. They're already in our streets. They were here yesterday. And do you know where I found them? I found them at the State Trooper Barracks of Monroe, New York. Now, I know the State Trooper Barracks did not allow them to be there because they left shortly after I found them. But just imagine to the extent that they were in Middletown and they drove all the way to Monroe to stage again to go somewhere else. Just imagine what these families are feeling right now. Immigrant families, a child who's 5 years old, whose parents might go work at a farm or work at a hotel to clean, and ICE raids that workplace. What happens to that 5-year-old? Do we just sit by and allow that to happen? What is going to happen to this 5-year-old? He's going to go and get taken away and brought to someone else to take care of him when his parents were there. Just imagine those stories are what's happening in our communities. People are disappearing as it is. You know, as a son of immigrant parents, it is so terrifying to find out that this is happening in our communities. I've been doing this since January 20th of 2025. I have been chasing immigration since. January 21st, they arrived to the city of Middletown and they said they were looking for criminals, and they took some guy who was on his way to work, who was providing for a woman with 2 kids. And now that woman doesn't have a father, doesn't have a child for that father, excuse me, doesn't have somebody to support her financially, mentally. Imagine what that woman has gone through since January 21st, where she's at right now. Who is helping her? How could she seek help if she's an undocumented individual? It's what our government is saying. But that lady is still working to this day. And do you know what she tells me? Is that she's still afraid because ICE is still in our streets, in our cities. I know many of you may agree, or many of you may disagree, but one thing we can all agree on is this is wrong. This is completely wrong. And I know, and I'm not sitting here to attack anybody. And again, many have. We are not here to attack one another. We are here to discuss a solution to protect our communities. Whether you like it or not, you guys represent us in Orange County. You guys took an oath. Uphold that oath, because I know many of you do. I see the American flags on your suits. I see the American flags on your shirts. It means you're proud Americans, and you cannot accept what's happening in our communities to the people that are in your neighborhoods, in your streets, in your restaurants, in your workplaces, who may even cut your grass for all we know. Please, make a change.
Thank you. We have Daniel Melville, followed by Logan Stapleton.
My name is Daniel, and I'm a lifelong resident of the town of Newburgh. I'm here tonight to express my strong opposition to turning the warehouse in Chester into an ICE concentration camp. ICE is already terrorizing our communities, and I believe it to be unconscionable to increase their capacity to continue doing so. I oppose any ICE detention or processing centers in the Hudson Valley. As others here have pointed out, New York Lawyers for Public Interest have released this report detailing the atrocious conditions inside the Orange County Jail for immigrants detained there. I do not want members of our community subjected to the violence of immigration enforcement, nor do I want them to be held in inhumane conditions without access to nutrition or medicine. As Silky Shaw, the executive director of Detention Watch Network, recently wrote, "The growing infrastructure for detention and deportation remains the greatest threat to immigrant communities. Detention facilitates deportation, and having more bed capacity means ICE can arrest and deport more people." My mother's parents came from China and made a home for themselves here in the Hudson Valley, and I believe that everyone should have the ability to do the same without the fear that at any moment, masked agents of the state could come and brutalize them. The people targeted by ICE are integral members of our communities who deserve all the dignity, protection, and respect that entails. All of our elected officials must support measures that keep ICE out of our schools and support the passage of the New York for All, Dignity Not Detention, and MELT Acts in the state legislature. Other counties, such as Rockland and Westchester, have enacted Immigrant Protection Acts, which restrict the county sheriff's participation with ICE. And while I recognize that the county executive and sheriff are unlikely to support this measure, I demand that this legislature consider it. I am also calling for the full-scale abolition of ICE. It is an agency beyond salvation that only exists to terrorize us, rip apart families, and compromise our communities. So I'll end this with a message to our congressional representatives. Congressman Ryan and Riley, Senators Gillibrand and Schumer, abolish ICE now.
Thank you. Logan Stapleton, followed by Joan Jackson.
Can you hear me? Hi, I'm Logan. I'm from Minneapolis. I moved here about 2 years ago. I'm happy to call Hudson Valley my home, but right now my heart is still back in Minnesota. So I was just there 2 weeks ago. I'm going back this weekend. You've probably seen everything on social media or on the news. It's terrible, but having been there, I want to say it's much, much worse. My friends and family in Minnesota are scared. I have Black and Latino family members who haven't left the house in weeks. ICE is gassing schools. They're detaining protesters. They're beating people. They're killing people in broad daylight. And let's be honest, Renee Good and Alex Preddy were white US citizens that they killed in broad daylight with crowds of people watching. God only knows what they're doing to people in these closed-door detention facilities who aren't white, who aren't citizens. And it's not just about the Hudson Valley. Obviously it is, but it's not just about here. They took 5-year-old Liam Ramos off the streets in Minnesota. They sent him to Texas. If they build this facility here, they're going to be taking people from Minnesota, from Chicago, LA, the Bronx, Queens, all over the country, and sending them here. If they build a new facility, it's going to be induced demand. They're going to be taking more people and detaining them here in our community. So if this is just to say, if you want to stand in solidarity with Minnesota right now, you need to oppose this detention facility. And if this legislature and really the county executive don't stop this new facility and stop detaining people in Orange County Jail, then we, the community, will stand up and stop it ourselves.
Thank you. Joan Jackson, followed by Vanessa Sid.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Vanessa Sid with For the Many. I was actually born and raised in the city of Middletown. That's my home. That's my family's home. I'm actually first generation born here, daughter of immigrants. And growing up, it was really scary knowing that we could not talk to our neighbors, our friends at school, or our teachers and let them know that my family wasn't documented because one day they could get taken away from me. I learned this when I was 6, when my mom was threatened to get the police called on her when she came to pick me up at school because I was sick. And the ID that she had on her was not a New York State ID. Growing up, I knew what it meant. If something happened, we couldn't speak up about it. And unfortunately, history is repeating itself. Now it's no longer me afraid of coming home to an empty house, but my nieces and nephews. My brothers and sisters are being subjected to blatant racism, violence, and our elected officials, some of them have been silent. That's complicity. What I've seen at the Orange County Jail and how folks have been treated, I am not speaking because we've seen it already and we've gotten it documented, but because my own friends and community members have been there and I've heard firsthand how they were beaten when they would complain about being sick during the pandemic, and they would be told, we're gonna take you to the nurse, only for them to get beaten up to told, don't complain again. I know we're here today to support this resolution, but also I demand that you all put a halt to this proposed concentration camp. This should not be happening here or anywhere. It doesn't belong here. I heard many people mention, oh, these are the issues that it would have in terms of like water sewage. I'm sorry, screw that. No, that has nothing to do with the water sewage system or how we can't sustain it. There's no reason for people to be detained for profit. Common sense, 2026, why are we still having these conversations? I'm frustrated, I'm angry. I'm not gonna take it out on you all, but I do urge you all to make a stand, do something about it. I wanna remind folks that, yes, it's true. If you do not hold our county executive accountable, we will continue to show up. We will continue to be loud. I urge you all to also hold our state assembly members and our state senators accountable. I don't just ask that of you all, but of my neighbors that are here today. And please make sure that you follow the money, watch where your contributions are coming from. And I'm saying this specifically because of Pat Ryan, who many of you are fans of.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm going to call again for the last time, Joan Jockelson. Joan, Jacun, or Jackson, but it looks like Jacu. No? Okay, thank you. Moving on. Next up is Supervisor of the Town of Chester, Brendan Holleridge, followed by Neil Meyer.
I'm here about two things tonight. I'll start with the non-ICE related. First, there is a sewage plant being planned and probably funded in the near future. I would advise for the county legislator to not fund or vote on any legislation that has to do with that plant until there is written regulations about how the distribution of the capacity will be distributed across Orange County. Now moving on to ICE. As town supervisor, I feel like I have some authority to speak on this, at least I hope. Running through the list of reasons why this is terrible for my community. There is no sewage capacity in the Village of Chester currently to give out to an expanded facility like this. It will cause a total disruption to the truck traffic and the economic development that we have in our industrial park as it is. We will lose around annually $520,000 worth of tax revenue for the school district, the town, the village, the county, the fire district, the ambulance district, and the fire district, I believe. There will be an increased cost of policing and overtime costs, not only for my town and my residents that will have to make up for that and the loss of the tax revenue, but also for all of your communities. There will be a need for mutual aid from everyone here in Orange County to make up for the inevitable protests, which we've seen from the people here tonight saying that they will come out if this facility comes through. As other people have said, it's located near 2 children's sports facilities, which is unacceptable to me. There's been no communication between DHS or ICE with the town of Chester, the village of Chester, or Orange County, to my knowledge, which is unacceptable. I was raised in a Jewish household. My grandmother, who's heading into brain surgery on Monday, taught me everything I needed to know about the Holocaust and about what my ancestors had to do to fight and survive through the horrors that my people have suffered under, and this is exactly what we're beginning to see here in this country, and I will not stand for it. Neither will she, and neither will anybody in this room. 2 Americans were shot dead. Around 11 people have been shot in total across the country. Just under 40 people died in ICE custody in the last 2 years. Just under 20 people died in CPP custody in the last 2 years. Chester does not stand for this. New York does not stand for this. Orange County does not stand for this. The Hudson Valley does not stand for this. We do not need this in my town or any town, for that matter, in the United States of America. I don't want to have to wake up one morning hearing one of my residents or a protester or a detainee or anybody who's visiting the town of Chester had their rights trampled over, had their, I don't need this in my town. Please support this legislation. Please sign on to the bill that I sent, the letter that I sent
Thank
to
you.
you all. Please keep this out of the Hudson Valley. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. So we have Neil Meyer, followed by Gary Detweiler. So Neil Dwyer and Gary Detweiler.
Neil Meyer, Town of Waukegan. It was reported that ICE CBP agents would take immigrants on starlight tours. This is when they drive a detainee into the woods, strip them naked, and leave them to die in the freezing cold. It was reported that ICE raped a woman for months, using the woman's child as leverage for his abuse. This was admitted to in court documents where the defense was they had immunity. It was reported that ICE CBP abducted 5 children from schools and homes. Porter, La, Dominguez, Diaz, Cruz, Casera, Campos, Good, and Preddy were all killed in January of 2026. 30 ICE CBP agents have been charged with crimes ranging from sexual assault, child sex trafficking, robbery, rape, torture, kidnapping, sexual abuse of a minor, possession and production of sexual abuse materials. Judge Slitz, the Minnesota federal judge appointed by Bush, wrote in a court filing, ICE has likely violated more court orders in January of 2026 than some federal agencies have violated in their entire existence. They violated 96 orders in 74 cases in 1 month. Since July of 2025, ICE CBP have violated the law 2,300 times. So please stop talking about following laws when those tasked with enforcing them refuse to follow them. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. What happens when one of these ICE agents kidnaps a 14, 15-year-old girl and rapes her? Or does ICE become the agency that kidnaps little girls for the Epstein billionaires? And please, don't tell me it could never happen, because it already has, and no one has been held accountable, and no one has done the goddamn thing. This facility in Orange County won't just be housing immigrants. It'll be housing our neighbors and housing citizens. I sat on a board for 8 years where my fellow Republicans said quite openly, the only good Democrat is a dead Democrat. An ICE agent in Chicago recently pointed his gun at a veteran and said, bang, bang, you're dead, liberal. The only good Democrat is a dead Democrat. Will money be set aside when ICE decides to do its Starlight tours in Chester, leaving people naked all around town? Will police ensure the safety of our children in our schools so they're not kidnapped and raped by men with badges who have immunity or their billionaire benefactors? Currently, there are 70,000 people being held in 224 camps. That's 3 times as many people in U.S. immigration camps than were held by the Nazis in concentration camps in the spring of 1939, prior to the start of World War II. They want double that next year. And when all these facilities are full and the people can't be deported because no other country will take them and the cost of the facilities becomes too high, what will the final solution be for this administration?
Thank you. We have Gary Detweiler, followed by Maria May. So Gary Detweiler and Maria May.
Hi, it's Gray, but I get it whenever I order food, so don't worry about it.
Sorry, I apologize.
All good. I lived in Chester for 20 years, so that's my whole life. I live in Middletown now. There are so many concerns about this facility in Chester. There are undue tax burdens that will be placed in the town and the community. There is a strain on local infrastructure, and there is the alarming statistic that if we accept this facility, 10% of the population of Chester will be prisoners. The only reason that should matter should be the clear moral imperative that we should stand against this. The powers that be have decided to pit us against one another, to pit us against our neighbors who are mothers and fathers. They are children, they are classmates and coworkers, and they are our community. These are people seeking a better life. To my neighbors that support the concentration camp that will be in our backyard, and we should not mince words, it will be a concentration camp. I ask that you consider, is your hatred or fear of immigrants so strong that you want to militarize this town? That you want to invite agitators who trample our First, our Second, and our Fourth Amendment rights, and who knows how many more to come? Do you want to add 1,500 prisoners to a town of 12,000? 11%, if we want to be specific. This facility will be 3.3 miles from the Chester Elementary School. It will be 2.4 miles from the middle and high school, Chester Academy. It will be less than 2 miles from the Chester Commons, the park where I, along with many other children, played youth soccer from the ages of 6 to 11. ICE has no place in Chester and no place in Orange County. We cannot pass the responsibility of protecting human rights to others. The responsibility has fallen on us and on you specifically. Please do everything in your power to stop the federal takeover of Chester, Orange County, and to end the contract with ICE. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Maria May, followed by James DeMarco.
Hello, everyone. By the way, thank you for having these evening meetings. So my name is Maria May, and I've been a teacher for 40 years, a town council person in Tuxedo, and a candidate for this legislature. And I am an immigrant who sought political asylum as a child, but who now carries her passport card with her, showing that I've been a US citizen since 1979. Incredible. I urge you to support the resolution banning ICE detention facilities in Orange County. The planned ICE facility in Chester poses a threat to the moral character, economic vitality, and the well-being of all Orange County residents. While there are many practical reasons for opposing this facility, I want to focus my comments on the moral issues that demand we reject this or any such facility in the future. ICE often detains hardworking people whose only offense is seeking asylum or a better life for their families. They are inhumanely held in these facilities without having committed a crime. According to ICE's own data, 75 to 80% of detainees have never committed a crime. Not having legal status is not a crime. It's only a civil offense, like a traffic ticket. Widespread reports and investigations cite the deliberate inhumane conditions in detention centers, including overcrowding, lack of medical care, unsanitary facilities, spoiled food, and exposure to extreme temperatures. These are not unfortunate accidents. It's a feature of the policy, not a bug. Does the government have a moral responsibility to ensure safety and prevent harm to those in its custody? Is it ever acceptable to use the deliberate infliction of psychological trauma on children, many of whom are American-born citizens, as a tool of government policy? Finally, detainees, even small children, often lack the access to lawyers and courts. Some are illegally held for months or years without a clear path to release. Some citizens, legal residents, or even veterans have been detained, manhandled, and even killed. None of these folks were afforded due process, and many were released without an explanation for why they were detained in the first place. Ignoring fundamental rights and liberties undermines the rule of law and puts every single one of us in harm's way. I urge you to vote yes on this resolution because ICE, DHS, and Stephen Millen's immigration system puts punishment and profit over the law, compassion, and human dignity. By supporting this ban, you will affirm that the sacred values of justice and human rights are not abstract concepts, but the living principles that
Thank you.
define Orange County.
Thank you
very
Maria.
much.
James DeMarco, followed by Rex Fernandez. James DeMarco. Okay, Rex Fernandez. And then it'll be Genevieve Kessler.
I wanted to start off by saying that my parents are immigrants, and my mother does not have a high school education. My grandmother never learned how to read. My grandfather never learned how to read. And as I walked in today, I didn't think I was going to speak. And Mary, I don't know if she's still in the room, but thanks to Mary, she gave me this to read. And if my family was not able to immigrate here, I might not have been able to read this today. What I'm about to read was recently shared by a citizen of Surprise, Arizona, responding to attempts by ICE to convert a warehouse into a detention center in their state. This is a national issue getting national attention that should be addressed and resolved at the national level. But given we no longer have a federal administration that understands the Constitution or abides by the rule of law, the people must speak out and stand up. This is no longer political. It's a crisis of our democracy and humanity. As Americans, we are walking a fine line and must come together as a people, working together with love and kindness in our hearts for all. From Arizona, I'd like to share my story from a local paper in Coldwater, Michigan, dated April 9th, 1945. It describes how the U.S. Army, under General Patton, came upon what you might call a detention center just outside the village of, excuse my pronunciation, Ohrdruf, Germany. The U.S. Army brought the leading citizens of Ohrdruf to tour the facility, which turned out to be a part of the Buchenwald network of concentration camps. A U.S. Army colonel told the German civilians who viewed the scenes without muttering a word that they were to blame. One of the Germans replied that what happened in the camp was, quote, done by a few people and you cannot blame us all. And the American, who could have been any one of our grandfathers, said, this was done by those that the German people chose to lead them, and all are responsible. The morning after the tour, the mayor of Ohrdruf killed himself. And maybe he didn't know the full extent of the atrocities committed in his community, but he knew enough. And maybe we don't know exactly how ICE will use this warehouse, but we know enough. I ask you to consider what the mayor of Ohrdruf might have thought before he died. Maybe he felt like a victim. Maybe he might have thought, how is this my fault? I have no jurisdiction over this. Maybe he would have said, this site was not subject to local zoning. What could I do? But I think when he reflected on the suffering that occurred at this camp just outside the town, that those words would have sounded hollow even to him. Because in his heart, he knew, as do we, that we are all responsible for what happens in our community. I urge all elected officials to take action to stop, stall, or at the barest minimum, think creatively about how to exercise oversight of this proposed ICE facility. Thank you.
Thank you. So Genevieve Kessler, followed by Dan Harris. Genevieve Kessler. Is Genevieve here? Okay. Dan Harris. Following Dan will be Kelly Corton.
Hello, everybody. I'm from Newburgh, and I've been affected by this through people who work with me and for me who've been either taken or have self-deported because they don't want to be taken. I'm not speaking to the mic, I'm sorry. So I want to propose something today that not a single legislator doesn't know what's going on. And that not a single legislator doesn't know what ICE is doing. And not a single legislator is unfamiliar with the history of Nazi Germany. I am a descendant of people who died in those gas chambers. I am a descendant of people who immigrated to this country. I am a descendant of people who were told it cannot happen here, and they no longer live. This is not about immigration, and everybody knows it. There is no immigration crisis in this country. It is totally fabricated. ICE is not out of control. ICE is under control from the highest office in this land, supported by the most wealthy people in this land who originally opposed this, but found it more convenient to support it, as did those who opposed Hitler. Just like them, they thought Hitler was a buffoon. They thought he was an ignoramus. They called him the little corporal. They told him he would go nowhere, but he did. And he turned out to be smarter than every single one of them. And I would tell you that Trump is smarter than every single one of you and every single one of us. And those who say he is not misunderstand what he does know. He knows the power of the street. He knows the power of violence. And he knows the power of fabrication and lying and turning things around. He learned it from our good friend who supported Joe McCarthy. He learned it. There's a documentary about it if you want to go see it. This facility, you may have absolutely no power at, but I've actually worked with city councils. And if you want my volunteer help, I'll find a way that you can do something about it. But it isn't really a technical question. It's really not a technical question. When Never Again was read by the human rights community and by my people, everybody knew what it meant. Many of my people have forgotten that, as we all well know, and think never again only means them. But we don't, and none of you should. The issue here is not just a moral issue, it's a matter of survival.
Okay, thank you. So we got Kelly Corton, followed by Richard Vargas.
Good evening. I just want to say before I start that my seatmate had to leave early and she found out about this meeting from a flyer on her house, so flyering works. Thanks for everybody for doing the work outside this meeting. My name is Kelly Corton. I am a resident of Sullivan County, your neighbor to the north. I was told by Betsy I could speak because this is an open meeting, although I am not in district. And it's pretty obvious why I would want to speak here, because if it's not in Chester, it's in my county. And what I've learned from a lot of folks over the past 2 hours is that this legislator, and thank you for the prompt at the beginning of the meeting to help us understand that this is the legislative session. This legislator has made changes and can make changes. And an example, an easy example, is apparently you used to have meetings in the morning, and that wasn't very proficient for folks to get here. Now you have meetings at night. You have a contract with ICE for your jail. It seems like a proactive legislator could be part and partial in changing that. And it also seems like you have the very easy decision now to do, as many people have said, the bare minimum of supporting the resolution to oppose this facility. And I came down here tonight because you are the canary in the coal mine in the Hudson Valley. You've allowed the ICE facility, the ICE contract in the jail to occur, which then green lights them into saying, oh, okay, that's a great place to start a detention facility. So what I would like you to do as a resident that has really no pull in this conversation, I would like you to oppose this detention center so that my county gets the memo. If you don't, and you let this go through, just as everybody's been saying, this is going in every single place that they can possibly find an out of commission warehouse, and that seems pretty easy to find in the Southern Catskills and Hudson Valley right now. So I'm asking you, I guess I'm appealing to you as a human, to oppose this and to be proactive and set a new precedent as this new legislator and make it so that these folks don't have to show up in Monticello for me, and so that we can redirect our efforts into something that isn't so obtuse. So thank you.
Thank you. So Richard Vargas, followed by Michael Sussman. Oh, you left? Okay.
My name is Richard Vargas. I go by 3 titles: Colonel, Special Agent, and Retired Deputy Sheriff. So first, based on an assessment and a threat assessment and an economic assessment, I oppose the facility being put in Chester. Why? Oh, no, don't clap. I would recommend to the Department of Homeland Security that they build an ICE facility on federal property at West Point. End of conversation. The bottom line is, I want to know how many of these people, and you too, have actually fought terrorism. I was at 9/11. I had to deal with terrorists. Oh, by the way, in your oaths, support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Try to put that in your plate, because the people that they are arresting, the people that you or these people don't see, are a lot of terrorists that have come over the border. Really?
Settle down.
better-
Ma'am,
Do me a favor.
ma'am, please sit down. Everybody has their turn to speak, and we
There
will
are
hear everybody's
terrorists, there are
opinion.
terrorist cells that have been embedding themselves in here since 9/11. And I want to know how many of these people here have gone and fought a war in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and served as a cop who had to go out and deal with criminals. Why are people in the Orange County Jail? Hang on, they committed crimes, or they wouldn't be in jail. So the bottom line is, since I am not being respected by these people, I would say that if you want the immigration laws changed, then change the law. And the law has to be changed by elected officials, by members of Congress, which is being pushed for decades. Excuse me?
Stop. Ma'am, I've asked you once, and I will ask you again. Everybody.
So the bottom
has a
line
right
is,
to
let
speak.
me say this, and this is what's despicable that I find tonight. Not one person has got up, and everybody has talked about the illegal immigrants that have been killed, murdered, raped. What about all the American citizens that have been raped, sexually abused, hundreds by illegal aliens? And what have we done here? Nothing. Nothing. So the bottom line is, you know what? The bottom line is that unless you fought for this country, unless you served this country like I have, you had nothing to say.
I'll call for Michael Sussman again. Has Michael Sussman come back in? No. We're moving on to Aaron Schlick. Aaron Schlick. Is Aaron Schlick here? Thank you. Hold on, we have a microphone for you.
Good evening. My name is Aaron Schick. I'm a social worker and I'm a resident of the village of Chester. I'm opposed to all actions of immigration and customs enforcement here and everywhere, and I will not accept a concentration camp to operate in my neighborhood. I ask that this legislature do everything in its power to keep ICE out of Orange County, because when ICE enters a community, they endanger everyone in that community. There is no good that can ever come from ICE. I live in Chester. I know Chester. I know that Chester needs a lot of things. And I know that the last thing that Chester needs is more cops. Chester is not always a kind or easy place to live as a marginalized person. I want to change that. We have an opportunity to change that and an obligation to change that. I live down the road from this location, and I have a lot of free time. If this facility opens, I will be there until it closes. And I invite everyone in this room to join me. Thank you.
Thank you. We have John Holmes, followed by Ann Sullivan. So John Holmes and then Ann Sullivan. Is John here? Okay, Ann Sullivan.
Hi, my name is Ann Sullivan. I'm chair of the Newburgh Working Families Party. I go between Ellenville and Newburgh, and I'm here to oppose the building of the ICE facility and any cooperation between the Sheriff Department and ICE, any cooperation between the Orange County Jail and ICE, any cooperation between any law enforcement in this county and ICE. I am also here to support the Transit Task Force. And it's a great day for this to be voted on, since yesterday was Rosa Parks' birthday, which is also celebrated as Transit Equity Day. This county not only needs west of the Hudson River rail line, it needs Cross River Ferry. It needs an actual transit system that goes throughout the county and connects to nearby counties to serve our veterans, to serve our seniors, to serve the disability community, to serve low-income individuals trying to get to work, visit family and friends, get to medical appointments, as well as visitors. And I hope that as you're putting together this task force, you will think about the incredible success of the free buses that happened last year, and consider continuing free buses, whether you've got a grant or not, whether you consider a fair fares system in Orange County. And one more thought that I just lost. Anyway, so thank you so much for having a transit task force.
Yeah. We have Philip Dropkin, followed by Taylor Yaffe, or Jaffe. Is Philip Dropkin still here? Okay, Taylor?
Thank you so much for having this evening meeting. This is really important for all of the community members who are able to turn out tonight. My name is Taylor Jaffe. I'm with Catskill Mountain Keeper, and we anchor the Rethink Route 17 Alliance. I want to share my support for the resolution number 19, which would create the Transportation Task Force Committee. Right now, Governor Hochul has proposed $1 million for a transportation study west of the Hudson. That will hugely impact this area, and this area is ripe for public transit, expanded bus routes, expanded service, rail connectivity, ferry. There are really no limits to what is possible. And the state has been looking at this region for investment, both with this study and also with the $1.4 billion price tag on the Route 17 project. So with this task force committee, I think this is a great opportunity to get ahead of this transit study and be able to really impact where they're looking, impact what sort of service they are looking at, and then delay the Route 17 decision until the recommendations of that study are available, so that way we can influence where we're spending this $1.4 billion to put the best benefit for our residents, for our communities, and really make sure that we are preparing ourselves for the future that we want here in Orange County and the Hudson Valley beyond. And I also just want to amplify, all of the great comments we heard tonight in support for Resolution 16, opposing the ICE detention center, for all the economic, agricultural, environmental, and of course the moral reasons that we heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. Taylor was the last speaker to sign up for public comment before our session started. At this moment, I would like to recognize Legislator Scott.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I request consent to place on the agenda resolution requesting the State of New York to fund and initiate a feasibility study to evaluate the restoration of passenger rail service on the CSX River subdivision, the West Shoreline.
Okay, is there a second? Okay. If there are no objections, the consent resolution will be added to the agenda as agenda item number B. Okay. Legislator Fagione at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I request that agenda item number 23, resolution making a supplemental appropriation to the 2026 Orange County budget for the Orange County Department of Planning for open space pursuant to section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter be withdrawn.
Second.
Okay. Item number 23 has been withdrawn. Democratic Leader Ramos.
I move to vote collectively on agenda items number 1 through 14.
Okay, if there are no objection, these agenda items will be voted on collectively. Is there any objections? No? Okay, they will be voted on collectively. Letter A is received and file. Numbers 1 through 14 will be a voice vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Now we move on to the consent resolution, letter B.
Legislators Scott and Fiscaldi, resolution requesting the State of New York to fund and initiate a feasibility study to evaluate the restoration of passenger rail service on the CSX River subdivision west shoreline.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next, we have item 15, which is a roll call vote.
Legislators Rediker, Cheney, Fagione, Fiscaldi, Ramos, DeGanga, Sutherland, Tobin, Turnbull, Tortel, with all Democrats and all Republicans as co-sponsors. Resolution recognizing February as Black History Awareness Month.
I second.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to recognize Legislator Carter.
Resolution recognizing February as Black History Awareness Month. Whereas since 1976, February has been recognized in America as Black History Month to celebrate the contributions of African Americans in our society and the world. Originally established in 1926 by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the celebration began to bring national attention to the contributions of African Americans throughout American history. Woodson, whose parents were former slaves in the South, changed the consciousness of people regarding the truth and positive place of Black Americans in history books. And whereas, as part of the global African diaspora, people of African descent in the United States have viewed their role in history as critical to their own development and that of the world. Along with writing Black histories, antebellum, Black scholars, north of slavery, started observing the milestones in the struggle of people of African descent to gain their freedom and equality, revealing their connection to the diaspora, and commemorated the Haitian Revolution, the end of the slave trade, and the end of slavery in Jamaica. They observed American emancipation with Watch Night, Jubilee Day, and Juneteenth celebrations. Eventually, they feated the lives of individuals who fought against slavery, most notably Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. The scholar Arthur A. Schomburg captured the motivation of Black people to dig up their own history and present it to the world. The American Negro must make his past in order to make his future. And now, therefore, be it hereby resolved that the Orange County Legislature recognizes February as Black History Awareness Month for Orange County, and we commend these sentiments to every citizen of Orange County, that all might reflect upon the contributions of people of African descent to culture here in the United States. Dated February the 5th, 2026, Association for the Study of African American Life and History.
Thank you. Number 16 will be a roll call vote. Oh, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, you may, of course. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. This is a roll call for this one? Okay, I apologize, it's a roll call.
Ramos,
Yes.
Riskevich. Amo, Carter.
Yes.
Cheney. Ellers. Essig. Fagione. Fiscaldi.
Yes.
Hill. Hunter. Rediker. Ravella. Sassy. Scott.
Yes.
DeGanga. Sutherland. Tobin. Tui. Turnbull. Tortel.
Aye.
21 ayes.
Number 16 is a roll call vote.
Legislators DeGanga and Fiscaldi, with all Democrats as co-sponsors. Resolution of the Orange County Legislature vehemently opposing the locating of a United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement processing and/or detention facility in warehouses within the County of Orange.
Legislator Ramos?
Thank you, Chairwoman. The level of turnout in this chamber today speaks to the fact that our community understands that something fundamental is at stake. And what we are witnessing here across this county and far beyond it is mass mobilization in opposition to this ICE detention facility proposal. And it is our duty as a legislature to listen. We do not get to govern in a vacuum. Democracy requires engagement, transparency, and real opportunities for the public to be heard, especially when the consequences are this severe. People are organizing, people are speaking out, people are refusing to be silent, and they are doing so because they see clearly what is being proposed and what it represents. What they also see is a federal government that has failed completely to communicate with local governments, with community stakeholders, or with the public. There has been no transparency, no partnership, and no good faith engagement. Decisions with enormous consequences are being made behind closed doors and imposed on communities such as Chester, expected to absorb the damage. This proposal raises serious legal concerns at both the local and national level. Those implications matter, and they will be addressed. But today, my focus and part of the focus of this resolution is on something even more fundamental, the human cost, and that I would not support this facility even if we did have the infrastructure. We must be clear about what ICE detention actually means in practice. It means families torn apart. It means people held without due process. It means inhumane conditions that have been documented again and again. Facts do not disappear because they make people uncomfortable. Atrocities do not stop being real because they inconvenience a narrative. We live in a time where facts are routinely challenged, distorted, or dismissed. But the documented horrors and abuses committed by ICE right now do not go away simply because acknowledging them requires moral courage. We are not just fighting against the facility. We are fighting for people, for dignity, for humanity, for the basic principle that no system should profit from or normalize suffering. Immigrants of all backgrounds are impacted by the current state of affairs with ICE, and this is not confined exclusively to immigrants. US citizens have been detained. US citizens have been killed by ICE in the streets of America. Children have been detained. Veterans, people who wore the uniform of this country, have been detained. These are not anomalies. They are part of a documented pattern. We have seen this play out with Indigenous and Black people throughout American history. What we are seeing from ICE today is the result of an agency that has become unserious and rogue, operating with weakened training standards, inadequate vetting, insufficient oversight, and no accountability. When accountability erodes, abuse becomes predictable, and we are far past the point of pretending otherwise. History teaches us a hard lesson. At many moments of moral failure, people were not monsters, they were functionaries. They were just doing their jobs. They were just following orders. But the truth is, we all know what we sign up for, and history has never been kind to that excuse. I want to acknowledge my Republican colleagues who are supporting this resolution from a different but important perspective, one rooted in infrastructure, land use, and local impact. That support matters because it reinforces a critical truth. Opposition to this facility transcends ideology. It is about whether local communities have a say. It is about whether reckless federal overreach is acceptable. And it is about whether harm becomes embedded into our physical and moral landscape in this county. And although we, as a county government, are not the decision maker in this matter, it is imperative that we send a strong and clear message to the federal government that we don't want this facility here. As the chairwoman stated, we, the legislature, do not manage the ICE contract the county currently holds for the ICE unit in the county jail. That is solely under the purview and jurisdiction of the county executive. In addition, while there is a contract where ICE essentially pays for beds in the county jail, we have been informed by the county attorney that Orange County does not have a 287G agreement with the federal government, nor has any plans to do so. I want to say this plainly. This is not emotion. This is fact. This is accountability. And silence in the face of cruelty is not neutrality. We are at a moment where silence would be easier, but it would be complicity. Today, I am proud to put forth this resolution on behalf of this legislative body that our county will not be a passive participant in policies and facilities that dehumanize, divide, and harm. We draw the line here. We listen to our constituents, we stand with people, and we refuse to be on the wrong side of history. Thank you.
Thank you. Legislator Tobin. Thank you. Legislator Tobin.
I'd like to thank my colleagues on both sides of the aisle that support this. We can disagree about immigration. That's democracy. What we cannot ignore is the conduct that violates the Constitution and undermines the rule of law. We are seeing racial profiling, overly aggressive tactics, and abuse of power directed at non-citizens and American citizens alike. These are not isolated incidents. They flow from executive branch pushing the boundaries of the Constitution in ways we have never seen before. ICE has been transformed from a civil enforcement agency into something resembling a paramilitary force operating our communities. History tells us to take that seriously. The founders, I'm talking about the founding fathers, knew what it meant to live under occupation, and they warned against it. In the Declaration of Independence, it states in the list of grievances, "He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has effected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to jurisdictions foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretend legislation. For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by mock trial from punishments for any murders, which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states." These words sound uncomfortably familiar. This is also not about opposing law enforcement. Law enforcement leaders themselves have warned us. I'd like to cite a report in USA Today. Quote, "Immigration agents have stopped off-duty officers in Minnesota solely because of the color of their skin. A group of local police chiefs alleged American citizens are being stopped on the streets with no cause and are being forced to produce paperwork to determine if they're here legally," said Mark Bruley. He added, "The police officers fell victim to this while off duty, and that stops appear to be target people of color," end quote. When American citizens and off-duty police officers are forced to produce papers, we have crossed the line. The final statement I'd like to cite is from State Senator Michelle Hinchy, who said it much better than I can do. She said, "Your agency's effort to normalize horrific acts of violence, including the murder of Renee Nicole Good and the 11 other people Javier and Neil Meyer mentioned, and dismiss due process, entirely undermine the rule of law and the principles that have sustained American democracy for over 250 years, end quote." Finally, if you read or watch the news, you might have seen this. The Columbia Heights Public School District in Minnesota said federal agents have detained 4 of its students in 4 separate instances over the course of 2 weeks. One child is a 5-year-old boy who attends a district elementary school and was used, in their words, quote, "as bait to draw family members out of their house." At the end of the day, this is not about zoning or infrastructure. It's about whether we will stand up for our American values. For that reason, I urge my colleagues to vote yes on this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Legislator Ravella, followed by Legislator Hill.
Good evening. I appreciate everyone's time and everyone sharing tonight. I just want to let you know that obviously we support the resolution as well, but my wife came as an immigrant in 2003 through this process, years-long process, an expensive process. The process changed time and time again and set us back time and time again. I urge everybody to reach out if you really want to help immigrants, to reach out to your federal representatives. We need an overhaul of our immigration process and streamline the path to citizenship. Thank you.
Thank you. Legislator Hill.
Thank you, and thank you all for coming out tonight. It's very important that you show up, and we're here to listen. I just want to share a few words from one of the greatest humanitarians who ever walked the planet in recent history, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. The ultimate measure of an individual is not where that individual stands in moments of comfort and convenience. but it is where that individual stands in times of challenge and controversy. And we are here to stand regardless of the challenges and the controversy with you. I also just want to add a small quote from Dr. King, where he says, "It is always the right time to do the right thing." Thank you.
Thank you. Legislator Turnbull, followed by Legislator Piscaldi.
Yeah, real quick, I'd just like to suggest that we add as co-sponsors the 48 people that came out and spoke in opposition to the facility and my wife.
Thank you. Legislator Piscaldi.
Personally, I just want to thank my colleagues for the collaborative effort on this and for your thoughts tonight. When I enlisted in the United States Coast Guard, I swore to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And today, as a sitting county legislator, I have a renewed obligation to uphold that oath. In an effort to bolster immigration enforcement, we have seen an increase in instances of poor conditions and mistreatment of those detained in makeshift ICE facilities across the country. We do not need a former Pet Boys facility. We don't need a former Pet Boys facility warehouse that is not zoned nor has the proper sewage infrastructure for keeping human beings. And to be perfectly clear with all of you, those things, the latter things, are the least important reasons why we should be against this facility. With that being said, I'm voting yes and to oppose the proposed ICE detention facility in Chester. Thank you.
Thank you. Legislator Rediker.
Good evening. I'll try to be brief. I wasn't planning to speak, but Legislator Ramos has been a great leader for us on this movement. Her words echo through these halls and beyond. Thank you. What she said is interesting, and we hear this. We had one person of our community today speak sort of in opposition to this vote today, when the rest of us, well, and many of us here in the public primarily was hearing what Leader Ramos said of ICE is dehumanizing, dividing, and harming people. There are others in our communities, in our friends, in our workplaces, in our neighbors that don't see the same story that we've heard tonight. We need to be clear about that. But what's really at stake is that it's very clear that we live in different media ecosystems in this country. Social media algorithms, 24/7 cable news, and big money interests want to divide us and create alternative realities. Media literacy and an understanding of this will be one of the only things that will help us save our democracy. Tonight, we have an opportunity to come together from beyond those ecosystems and work together to protect and uphold our collective rights. For that, I am thankful for this bipartisan support of humanity. This is what our oath calls us to. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other legislators? At this time, I would like to make a statement as Legislator Lori Tortel of the 14th District. I vehemently oppose an ICE facility anywhere in Orange County, New York. This is not about, as is stated before, infrastructure. This is about humanity. This is about decency. And this is about what has become of the ICE agency and the detention centers across the United States of America. We need to move forward, as Legislator Ravella has pointed out, and I had already had this discussion with Legislator Amo, asking for immigration reform in this country. Unless you're like the one woman who was here earlier this evening and spoke as a descendant of Native Americans, we are all immigrants. We all come from an immigrant background. No matter what country, whether it be Eastern European, whether it be South American, Asian, we are all a country of immigrants. On the Statue of Liberty, it says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." We cannot erase that from our history, nor can we erase from our history what has gone before us in the past with detention centers that had happened to our Asian Americans back during World War I and II. We cannot go forward and forget what happened at Auschwitz and what happened at all the other concentration camps. We must learn from our past, learn from the mistakes, and move forward with dignity and humanity for all. Thank you. At this time, I ask the clerk to please take the roll call vote. Oh, sorry. Legislator Tui?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My grandparents, I'm a descendant of family members that came right after the turn of last century. And they came in, they passed through Ellis Island, and they had sponsors, and they had to come in and get vetted. So I'm very, very proud of that fact. I am going to vote yes on this, but I just want to keep people to remember there has been violent acts against a lot of Americans from certain subset. So you hear some numbers come out, but I didn't hear any sourcing. So I'm very proud of the way my grandparents came in, and I thank you for the time. And I urge all my colleagues to vote yes on this.
Thank you. Legislator Scott?
I want everyone in the public to know how much I appreciate everything that you said tonight. Elected officials, we do take an oath of office, and a lot of times we have to use the tools and the means to actually do the right thing for our communities. I've had the opportunity to talk with supervisors from throughout Orange County, and the one thing that we all said, the unifying thing is, we have to look to the law, right? Yes, I am morally, emotionally disgusted by what is going on in this country because this is not our America right now. And we're seeing all of some of the federal dysfunction. It's rolling down to this legislature. We had this with SNAP, correct? We're having this with healthcare. And I will say I'm honored to be with all of you because I think we recognize that we need to do our duty. I'm voting yes for this because I think about our law enforcement that they have to deal with this, all our emergency management workers, just the safety of our residents, all of our residents, because right now we have chaos. And I think we, as Orange County representatives, we need to be the voice of reason. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other legislators at this time? No? Will you please take the roll?
Ramos,
Yes.
Riskevich, Amo, Carter, Cheney, Ellers,
Yes.
Essig, Fagione, Fiscaldi,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hunter, Redeker,
Yes.
Ravella, Sassy, Scott,
Yes.
DeGanga, Sutherland, Tobin, Tui,
Yes.
Turnbull,
Yes.
Tortel.
Yes.
21 ayes.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, at this time, we're going to move on to item number 17, which is a roll call vote.
Legislators Cheney and Fagione, resolution amending Article 2F of the Legislative Manual for the County of Orange pursuant to Section 2.02A of the Orange County Charter and Section 153 of the New York State County Law.
Any comments? Second? Did I hear that second? I couldn't hear it. There we go. We got a second. Okay. Go ahead. Roll call, please.
Ramos,
Yes.
Riskevich, Amo, Harder, Cheney, Ellers, Essig. Fagione. Fiscaldi. Hill. Hunter. Redeker. Ravella. Sassy. Scott.
Yes.
Stiganga. Sutherland. Tobin. Tui. Turnbull. Tortel.
Aye.
21 ayes.
Okay. Number 18 is a roll call vote.
Legislator Stiganga and Fagione with Legislator Tortel as co-sponsor. Resolution amending Article 2H of the Legislative Manual for the County of Orange pursuant to Section 2.02A of the Orange County Charter and Section 153 of New York State County Law.
Okay, second. Second. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Ramos,
Yes.
Riskevich, Amo, Carter, Cheney, Ellers, Essig, Fagione, Fiscaldi, Hill, Hunter, Redeker, Ravella, Sassy, Scott, Stiganga, Sutherland, Tobin, Tui, Turnbull, Tortel. 21 ayes.
Number 19 is a roll call vote.
Legislators Ramos and Cheney with all Democrats and Legislator Tortel as co-sponsors. Resolution of the Orange County Legislature creating Transportation Task Force Committee pursuant to Section 2.02Q of the Orange County Charter and Article 4, Paragraph G of the Legislative Manual.
Second. Okay. Any discussion? Leader Ramos.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I want to actually thank Chairwoman Tautel for putting forth this initiative to create this committee. Too often we're hearing from our constituents across the county that transportation is lacking. We currently have county-run transportation in the cities of Newburgh and Middletown and some paratransit options, but the truth is there is no interconnected county-wide transit that is really connecting people to economic upward mobility or other opportunities such as medical appointments. So I'm in full support of this, and I look forward to seeing what comes of this under the leadership of Legislator Hill. And, you know, there's a lot to this, whether it's expanding routes or looking at different kinds of transit options throughout Orange County. But the fact that we're going to have a designated space within the legislature to really dive into this is a big step. So I look forward to this taking off. Thank you.
Okay. Legislator Hill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am in support of Resolution 19 for various reasons, some of which our leader Ramos has already spoken. 6 years ago, I joined the Newburgh Transportation Advisory Committee with the sole purpose of looking into this need. As our county begins to grow, we definitely need a county-wide transportation system. It is imperative that we put forth that now. Folks, we can connect our labor force to employment and also just family members to family members that live in the various municipalities. We also want to make sure that we keep county dollars within Orange County. It is currently easier. I don't drive, by the way, so it was a little running joke, was like, how is Legislator Hill going to get to Goshen and there's no transportation? However, it is easier for me to get to Dutchess County than it is for me to maneuver in my own county. So I prefer to spend my dollars in Orange County than anywhere else. So I think this task force will give us an opportunity to take a deep dive and a meaningful dive of what our constituents are asking for. Thank you.
Welcome. Legislator Ravella is added. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Ramos,
Yes.
Riskevich, Amo, Carter, Cheney, Ellers, Essig, Fagione, Fiscaldi, Hill,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Redeker, Ravella, Sassy, Scott, Stiganga, Sutherland, Tobin, Tui, Turnbull, Tortel. 21 ayes.
Thank you. Number 20. Yes, ma'am. Number 20 is a roll call vote.
Legislators Sutherland and Stiganga, resolution to increase the budget of capital project number 542 to reflect revenue received from the auctioning of buses pursuant to section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Any second? Thank you. Any discussion? All in, roll call, please.
Ramos?
Yes.
Riskevich? Carter? Cheney? Ellers? Essig? Fagione? Fiscaldi? Hill? Hunter? Redeker? Ravella? Sassy? Scott? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tobin? Tui? Turnbull? Tortel. 20 ayes.
Number 21 is a roll call vote.
Legislators Fagione and Sutherland with Legislator Scott as co-sponsor. Resolution setting a date for a public hearing pursuant to New York State General Municipal Law, Section 247, with respect to the acquisition of 2.1 acres to preserve open space in the village of Chester. The public hearing would be held on February 19, 2026 at 3 p.m. here in the Legislative Chamber.
Second. Tobin. Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ramos?
Yes.
Riskevich? Yes. Carter?
Yes.
Cheney? Ellers? Essig? Fagione? Fiscaldi? Hill? Hunter? Redeker? Ravella? Sassy? Scott? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tobin? Tui? Turnbull? Tortel. 20 ayes.
Number 22 is a roll call vote.
Legislators Cheney and Stiganga with Legislator Scott as co-sponsor. Resolution setting a date for a public hearing pursuant to New York State General Municipal Law, Section 247, with respect to the acquisition of 62.6 acres for a conservation easement in the town of Warwick. The public hearing would be held February 19, 2026 at 3:15 here in the Legislative Chamber.
Second, Legislator Redeker. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ramos?
Yes.
Riskevich? Carter? Cheney? Ellers? Essig? Fagione? Fiscaldi? Hill? Hunter? Redeker? Ravella? Sassy? Scott? DeGanga? Sutherland? Tobin? Tui? Turnbull? Tortel. 20 ayes.
Next is a roll call vote.
Legislators DeGanga, Cheney, Fagione, and Sassy with Legislator Scott as co-sponsor. Resolution authorizing the county executive of Orange County, the county executive of Orange County to sign the renewal sales tax sharing agreement with the cities of Newburgh, Middletown, and Port Jervis.
Seconded by Legislator Redeker. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ramos?
Yes.
Riskevich? Carter? Cheney? Ellers? Essig? Fagione? Fiscaldi? Hill? Hunter? Redeker? Ravella? Sassy? Scott? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tobin? Tui? Turnbull? And Tortel. 20 ayes.
Okay, 25A is receive and file. 25, roll call vote.
Legislators DeGanga, Cheney, Fagione with Legislator Scott, Fiscaldi, and Turnbull as co-sponsors. Local Law Introductory Number 1 of 2026, a local law amending and restating Local Law Number 7 of 2006, as last amended by Local Law Number 6 of 2025, establishing rules, regulations, and requirements in relation to the use of public and private sewers, private sewage disposal, the installation and connection of building sewers, and the discharge of sewage, industrial wastewater, or other waste into the sewage system of any Orange County Sewer District and all public sewers tributary to the Harriman Sewage Treatment Plant and prescribing penalties for violations thereof.
Seconded by Legislator Carter. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ramos?
Yes.
Riskevich? Carter? Cheney? Ellers?
Essig. Fagione. Fiscaldi. Hill. Hunter. Rediker. Ravella. Sassy. Scott. Stiganga. Sutherland. Tobin. Tui. Turnbull. Tortel. 20 ayes.
Okay. Number 26 is a roll call vote, and it will require a 2/3 vote.
Legislator Sassy and Carter with Legislator Scott as co-sponsor. Bond resolution of the County of Orange, New York, authorizing the acquisition of heavy-duty equipment for use by the Parks Department, stating the estimated total cost thereof is $341,769, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $341,769 bonds of the county to finance said appropriation.
Second by legislator Tobin. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ramos.
Yes.
Riskevich. Carter. Cheney. Ellers. Essig. Fagione. Fiscaldi. Hill. Hunter. Rediker. Ravella. Sassy. Scott. Stiganga. Sutherland. Tobin. Tui. Turnbull. Tortel. 20 ayes.
Okay, number 28 is a roll call vote requiring 2/3 vote as it's a bond.
Legislator Sassy and Fagione with Legislator Turnbull as co-sponsor.
27,
What am I on?
27, 27, excuse me. 27 is also a roll call vote requiring 2/3 vote.
Legislator Sassy and Fagione with Legislator Turnbull as co-sponsor. Bond resolution of the County of Orange, New York, authorizing the establishment of a new capital project for the acquisition and installation of a pre-built pesticide building and heater at Stony Ford Golf Course, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is $60,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of 60,000 bonds of the county to finance said appropriation.
Second by legislator Tobin. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ramos.
Yes.
Riskevich. Carter. Heaney. Ellers. Essig. Fagione. Fiscaldi. Hill. Hunter. Rediker. Ravella. Sassy. Scott. Stiganga. Sutherland. Tobin. Tui. Turnbull. Tortel. 20 ayes.
And now we are on to number
20.
28. It's a bond resolution requiring a 2/3 vote and a roll call.
Legislator Sassy and Fagione with Legislator Turnbull as co-sponsor. Bond resolution of the County of Orange, New York, authorizing the acquisition of various golf equipment for use at the Stony Ford Golf Course, stating the estimated total cost thereof is $177,560, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $177,560 bonds of the county to finance said appropriation.
Second by legislator Tobin. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Ramos.
Yes.
Riskevich. Carter. Cheney. Ellers. Essig. Fagione. Fiscaldi. Hill. Hunter. Rediker. Ravella. Sassy. Scott. Stiganga. Sutherland. Tobin. Tui. Turnbull. Tortel. 20 ayes.
Okay. 29 is also a bond resolution requiring a roll call of 2/3 vote.
Legislators Cheney and Sassy with Legislator Turnbull as co-sponsor. Bond resolution of the County of Orange, New York, authorizing the acquisition of various golf equipment for use at the Hickory Hill Golf Course, stating the estimated total cost thereof is $128,126, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $128,126 bonds of the county to finance said appropriation.
Seconded by legislator Tobin. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Ramos. Riskevich. Carter. Cheney. Ellers. Essig. Fagione. Fiscaldi. Hill. Hunter. Rediker. Ravella. Sassy. Scott. Stiganga. Sutherland. Tobin. Tui. Turnbull. Tortel. 20 ayes.
Okay. Number 30 is a voice vote.
Legislators Ramos and Sassy with all Republicans and Legislator Turnbull as co-sponsors. Resolution authorizing the filing of an application to the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation for the Municipal Parks and Recreation Grant Program.
Okay, second. Legislator Tobin. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Number 31 is a roll call vote.
Legislators Fagione and Hunter with Legislator Turnbull as co-sponsor. Resolution appointing members of the Orange County Sewer District Number 1 Advisory Committee, a special committee of the Orange County Legislature pursuant to Section 2.02Q of the Orange County Charter and Article 4, Paragraph G of the Legislative Manual.
Second.
Second by Legislator Tobin. Any discussion?
Who's Dewey?
Yes, Legislator Tui. Oh, Tui, I'm sorry. Legislator Tui. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ramos?
Yes.
Skevich?
Yes.
Carter? Cheney? Ellers? Essig? Fagione? Fiscaldi? Hill? Hunter? Rediker? Ravella? Sassy? Scott? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tobin? Tui? Turnbull? Tortel. 20 ayes.
Number 32 is a voice vote.
Legislators Fagione and Carter with Legislator Essig as co-sponsor. Resolution authorizing an easement across county-owned property in the town of Cornwall.
Seconded by Legislator Essig. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 33 is a voice vote.
Legislators Sassy and Fagione with Legislators Tobin and Fiscaldi as co-sponsors. Resolution authorizing the county executive to enter into an agreement with certain Orange County municipalities providing for the exemption from county taxation of lands owned and used by them for water supply and related purposes pursuant to Section 4063 of real property tax law.
Second. Legislator Scott. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion. Abstain? Legislator Ravella abstains. Okay, number 34 is a roll call vote.
Legislators Ramos and Carter with Legislator Scott as co-sponsor. Resolution approving the release of the county's interest in and to a certain detail parcel to the previous owner of record pursuant to Section 5, Paragraph B1 of Local Law Number 2 of 2010.
And seconded by Legislator Tobin. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ramos?
Yes.
Skevich? Carter? Cheney? Ellers? Essig? Fagione? Fiscaldi? Hill? Hunter? Rediker? Ravella? Sassy? Scott? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tobin? Tui? Turnbull? Tortel. 20 ayes.
Okay, number 35 is a voice vote.
Legislators Stiganga and Fagione with all Republicans as co-sponsors. Resolution accepting and appropriating funds from a New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services to the Orange County Sheriff's Office for the Byrne State Crisis Intervention Program pursuant to Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Seconded by Legislator Tobin. All in favor? Or any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Number 36 is a voice vote.
Legislators Fagione and Stiganga. Resolution accepting funds from the United States Department of Justice, Office of Justice Programs to the Orange County Sheriff's Office for the State Criminal Alien Assistance Program pursuant to Section 99-H of a general municipal law and Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Do I have a second? Second by Legislator Tobin. Legislator Tui would like to be added. Any other legislators? And Legislator Essig? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, number 37 is a voice vote.
Legislators Fagione and Ramos with Legislators Scott and Turnbull and all Republicans as co-sponsors. Resolution accepting and appropriating funds from a New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services to the Orange County Office of Probation for the Ignition Interlock Device Monitoring Program pursuant to Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
seconded by legislator Tobin. Any discussion? Legislator Rediker is added. I'm sorry. I just had a brain freeze. Excuse me. I apologize. Okay, you're added. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 38 is a voice vote.
Legislators Sutherland, Rediker, Hill, and Carter, with all Republicans, and Legislator Turnbull as co-sponsors. Resolution accepting and appropriating grant funds from the New York State Department of Health to the Orange County Department of Health for the Children and Youth with Special Health Care Needs program pursuant to Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Seconded by legislator Tobin. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carries. Number 39 is a voice vote.
Legislators Sutherland, Hill, and Carter, with all Republicans, and Legislator Turnbull as co-sponsors. Resolution accepting and appropriating funds from the New York State Department of Health to the Orange County Department of Health for the Community Accessibility and Inclusion Program pursuant to Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Seconded by legislator Tobin. Legislator Rediker and legislator Hunter are added. And legislator Ravella and Tui. Legislator Essig. Legislator Scott. Anyone else? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Number 40 is a voice vote.
Legislators Sutherland, Ellers, Hill, and Carter, with all Republicans, and Legislator Turnbull as co-sponsor. Resolution appropriating third-year budget period funds from the New York State Office of Children and Family Services to the Orange County Department of Health for the Child Fatality Review Team Grant pursuant to Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Seconded by legislator Tobin. Legislator Ravella would like to be added. Legislator Scott would like to be added. Legislator Hill. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carries. Number 41 is a roll call vote.
Legislators Rediker, Sutherland, Hill, and Carter, with Legislator Turnbull as co-sponsor. Resolution appointing members of the Orange County Legislative Valley View Advisory Committee, a special committee of the Orange County Legislature pursuant to Section 2.02Q of the Orange County Charter and Article 4, Paragraph G of the Legislative Manual.
Second by legislator Tobin. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ramos?
Yes.
Riskevich? Carter? Cheney? Ellers? Essig? Fagione? Fiscaldi? Hill? Hunter? Rediker? Ravella? Sassy? Scott? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tobin? Tui? Turnbull? Tortel. 20 ayes.
Okay. Number 42 is a roll call vote.
Legislators Ramos, Amo, Carter, and Hill, with Legislator Turnbull as co-sponsor. Resolution of the Orange County Legislature appointing members to the Housing Task Force Committee pursuant to Section 2.02Q of the Orange County Charter and Article 4, Paragraph G of the Legislative Manual.
Second by legislator Tobin. Legislator Rediker would like to be added. Essig. Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ramos,
Yes.
Riskevich, Carter, Cheney, Ellers, Essig, Fagione, Fiscaldi, Hill, Hunter, Rediker, Ravella, Sassy, Scott, Stiganga, Sutherland, Tobin, Tui, Turnbull, Tortel. 20 ayes.
Okay. Number 43 is a voice vote.
Legislators Amo, Sutherland, Carter, and Hill, with all Republicans, and Legislator Scott and Turnbull as co-sponsors.
Resolution making a supplemental appropriation to the 2025 Orange County budget for the Orange County Department of Social Services for the Multidisciplinary Team Child Advocacy Center pursuant to Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Redeker added. Do I have a second? Second by legislator Tobin. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Number 44 is a voice vote.
Legislators Ellers, Sutherland, Carter, and Hill, with all Republicans, and Legislator Turnbull as co-sponsors. Resolution making a supplemental appropriation to the 2025 Orange County budget for the Orange County Department of Social Services for the Child Advocacy Center pursuant to Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Legislator Redeker would like to be added. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Number 45 is a roll call vote.
Legislators DeGanga and Scott with Legislator Turnbull as co-sponsor. Resolution appointing members of the Labor Relations Advisory Committee pursuant to Article 4, Section G of the Legislative Manual.
Seconded by legislator Tobin. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ramos?
Yes.
Riskevich? Carter? Cheney? Ellers? Essig? Fagione? Fiscaldi? Hill? Hunter? Redeker? Rivella? Sassy? Scott? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tobin? Tui? Turnbull? Tortel. 20 ayes.
Okay, number 46 is a roll call vote.
Legislators DeGanga, Scott, Sassy, and Redeker. An act amending the appropriate Orange County employment schedules to create one executive secretary and administrative assistant position at the Orange County Department of Consumer Affairs pursuant to Section 2.02L of the Orange County Charter.
Seconded by legislator Tobin. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ramos?
Yes.
Riskevich? Carter? Cheney? Ellers? Essig? Fagione? Fiscaldi? Hill? Hunter? Redeker? Rivella? Sassy? Scott? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tobin? Tui? Turnbull? Tortel. 20 ayes.
Number 47 is a roll call vote.
Legislators DeGanga, Sassy, and Fagione, an act amending the appropriate Orange County employment schedules to create one fiscal manager position at the Orange County District Attorney's Office pursuant to Section 2.02L of the Orange County Charter.
Seconded by legislator Essig. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ramos?
Yes.
Riskevich? Carter? Cheney? Ellers? Essig? Fagione? Fiscaldi? Hill? Hunter? Redeker? Rivella? Sassy? Scott? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tobin? Tui? Turnbull? Tortel. 20 ayes.
Okay, number 48 is a roll call vote.
Legislators Sassy, Stiganga, and Carter, an act amending the appropriate Orange County employment schedules to create one contract coordinator position at the Orange County Department of Information Technology Services pursuant to Section 2.02L of the Orange County Charter.
Seconded by legislator Tobin. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ramos?
Yes.
Riskevich? Carter? Cheney? Ellers? Essig? Fagione? Fiscaldi? Hill? Hunter? Redeker? Rivella? Sassy? Scott? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tobin? Tui? Turnbull? Tortel. 20 ayes, Madam Chair, and the desk is clear.
Okay, thank you. We have several speakers signed up for public comment on non-agenda items. First up, we have Matthew Temazi. I'm sorry, I cannot read your writing, Matthew, I apologize. The Catskill Mountain. Matthew, are you still here? No, okay, Matthew has left. Standard Knight. Standard Knight. No. Gail Jeter.
Good evening. I'd also like to welcome our new legislators. I'm very impressed with what I've seen at these couple of meetings. And I want to thank you for approving item number 41 for Valley View. Let me quickly go and ask you one more concern. Valley View Center for Nursing and Rehabilitation is currently listed, and you've heard this before, as a 360-bed facility. I looked on the bulletin board today and saw it's down to 218, even lower than when I spoke the last time. Okay. I know that I was told that they're going to open a new unit or rehab. Can we make it our goal to bring it back to 360 beds? Because the senior population is growing even faster than any other population in Orange County. And when it was 520 beds, there were fewer seniors. Okay. I would also like to bring your attention to the meeting that was held of the Valley View Advisory Committee on September 25th, 2024. I know that you've been told, oh, the reason for the shortage is because there aren't enough nurses. If you look at that, I look at it on YouTube, you will see the real reason why the senior population of residents in Valley View is so low. Okay. One of the problems is morale. Another issue is the fact that Valley View staff is paid substantially less than the other health departments. Now, that meeting, you had some experts in to explain what the problem is. They even explained how they divided the things that needed to be done in Valley View into 3 parts. One part was what needed to be done urgently right now. Another one was not urgent, but I forgot how they worded it, but if you look at that meeting, go online, look at that meeting, you will see the explanation that was given. Very detailed, very important. There are nursing students at Valley View right now, and they get their CNA. I mean, they're working as a CNA now. And if you ask them, well, when you graduate and get your nursing certificate, will you come to?
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
The way they treat it.
Up next, we have Louis Abrahamson, followed by Del Jones.
Evening.
Good
Been
evening.
here in a little while. Kind of a little different for me because normally it's like 3 people here only when I come. I've been living here 20 years.
Yes, stand a little closer to the microphone so we can hear you, please.
Is
It's on, you just need to stand a little
Yeah.
closer.
Okay. So I've been living here 20 years. I know many of you. Some of you have even gone and visit when I've gone up to Albany. It's no secret. I try to be the nicest guy that I can in Orange County. Our kids are going to continue to go through a lot of difficult times. We live in difficult times. And one of the most vulnerable population here is children with intellectual disabilities. One of the things that I've noticed, in 2019, I advocated for better services when it came for intellectual disabilities, to have an 8-1-10 program, The western side of Orange County still is at a regional need, a classification in New York State. And there were many possible providers that unfortunately were able to get that contract in before COVID hit and the dynamics has changed. But looking at what's happening with the increase of the use of the in-school detention room, and also with the issues of lack of support and training, I pushed for my own school district, which I applaud for their acceptance. And they not only trained the school staff, which has been something that the BCBA has been doing, but now the school board and the administration. You cannot run a program and not know what the program is about. Okay, so if you have children with disabilities in your school district, you need to know what it is that you're receiving, the information you're receiving, what the teachers are doing, and that's why a behaviorist, a BCBA contract is important, and the schools have it. So I'm very proud of Warwick for being on the lead with this. I'm asking the legislators to look at the districts that you represent in their schools to make sure that they
Thank you.
follow the same lead. But,
Thank you.
But thank you. I'm gonna leave a little literature and you can follow up with the Warwick School District.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Dell Jones? Dell still here? No? Okay, with that, the desk is cleared. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Yes, Legislator
Just one
Sassi.
comment, I know we'll all agree. I just want to thank our staff and our sheriff's deputy. It's been a long night, but they've been here, really appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank you.
I agree. Our AV and IT have also been here circulating.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor? We're good.